There's an SNL episode with Tom Hanks.
There's a lot of SNL episodes.
He goes with Tom Hanks, and he's the roadie. So he gets the microphone up there. He goes, check, sibilance, check, sibilance. So that's my go-to on the check stuff.
Okay. Check, sibilance.
Yeah.
Check, sibilance.
If that's what it is. I hope to God it is.
Well, I am not going to verify that, so...
Sweet.
It's Schrodinger's truth. You could be lying to me. You could be not lying to me at all. And I will never know.
Great women talking question right there that could have made it into the film.
What?
Huh?
What's...
Is it lying without intent?
Oh.
What is lying?
Right? That's a whole 30-minute scene right there.
Yeah.
Gonna stretch that out. I take a quick sip of water. Excuse me. But with that, I will intro.
All right.
I can't stand up in front of people. It just fills me with horror. I'm kind of giving you a bit of a hint with the accent that I just did.
Yeah, I three people just ran into my mind.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Wait, that's a whole quote?
Yes.
Oh, what was it again?
I can't stand up in front of people. It just fills me with horror.
Actor, director.
Director.
McDonough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I picked something, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to find a quote, so I just picked something that is from a director that was nominated for one of the Academy Awards and would be easy enough for you to pinpoint almost immediately, and you did it without fail, so
there
congratulations.
How about that?
I'm very proud of you. But yeah, just wanted to find something quick and easy. Thank you for listening, guys. I'm Kyle, by the way.
I'm Mac.
Yeah. And we're both very tired because we stayed up and we watched the Oscars.
We did it.
Yeah. Congratulations to us. So we were going to talk about Cocaine Bear and Last Days, but I think we're going to push that to next episode 42. So this episode, we're going to kind of do a repeat of what we did last year, where we talked about all 10 Best Picture nominees for the Oscars, and just kind of spend like maybe 10, 15 minutes on each movie, just kind of going through our thoughts and quick discussions of like what we think of them. Some might last a little longer than others.
Yes.
There's going to be some that we've already covered on this show, so we won't have to spend a whole lot of time on them. We can just do maybe like a quick run through of like the awards they won, or like, you know, just different things that happen. So, but it's going to be pretty much the same deal as last time, except Mac had an idea yesterday that he approached me with, where instead of reading off our rankings right away and then jumping right into the discussion, we would pretty much go through the movies, and then at the end of each movie discussion, we would tell the other person where that movie lies on our ranking.
Yes.
So, and it took me a minute to kind of pick up what he was putting down with that idea, because my brain is a little slow as it is right now. But I think I explained it well enough for them to understand what we're going to do. Yeah, we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah, if we get a whole bunch of comments that are question marks, then I'll know that I failed.
Or if I just lead off going like, my number 2 film is...
Right. My number 7.
Yeah.
You just start with some random ass number. So we can get into it, but first, did we want to talk about the Oscars itself for a bit?
Sure. I mean, I mean, we watched them.
We did.
So
I went over to your apartment and we enjoyed that time together. Your son was there. He was very energetic.
Yeah.
He wanted me to watch him play Minecraft for the entire time.
Oh my, yeah, he did. Well, and he did a good job. Passed out rather quickly. He still woke up at like 3:30 and came to my bed and passed out with me. So thought he would have slept through the night, but you know, whatever's coursing through his blood kept him up. So
I had a fun time with him.
Yeah, good kid.
He's a good kid.
Yeah.
He showed me how to feed his turtle, Fred, that he has in his room. And Fred is very adorable as he's devouring that worm that was in front of him.
It's great, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very nice little thing. It's not too vicious.
Yeah.
You know?
But like you said, there's a little bit of the weight to it. I think you said circle of life when we left the room, you know?
Yeah. It is there.
Yeah, yep. Maybe not as profound as Mufasa, but
right.
You know, the theme is still the same.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. But no, the show itself, there wasn't as many cringy moments as I thought there were going to be. There was a few that kind of stood out to me.
I think, the more you do them, the safer you get with them. You kind of pick your spots. I think first-time guys that go through try to make it memorable because everyone in there is a narcissist.
Right.
So it's kind of like, how do I leave my mark? And I think that's where you get that. But when I heard Jimmy Kimmel was doing it again, I was like, he'll probably have a couple bad jokes.
Right.
But, I mean, it's the second time, right? Second time for him doing it?
Ooh, I think it's third at least, I want to say. But
The more you do it, like Billy Crystal's, that's why he's the best that you have in there because he has the formula down. Mm-hmm. And he probably just doesn't give a shit at that point anymore. It's just a paycheck.
Well, it's funny you say that because to me this year it seemed like Jimmy Kimmel was almost trying to channel a little bit of like Ricky Gervais energy with the Golden Globes where like he threw in like a couple like surprisingly edgy jokes in there. And by edgy, I mean edgy for like Jimmy Kimmel and ABC primetime,
Yeah.
Like the jabs that he had at Will Smith. Like he kept bringing that up, which I'm really surprised that they are actually acknowledging it. I don't know if that's just Jimmy Kimmel's whole decision making that he did independent of the Academy, or if the Academy was like, yeah, sure, joke about it. Why not? It'll get people in our good graces, maybe.
I think you put the script out there. I mean, obviously he can do whatever he wants on live TV, but I think it runs through it. And I said it last night. I think with something like that, the one thing that Hollywood's always done really well is lean into anything that's coming their way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever. I shouldn't say it like that, but I mean, there's been a lot of, they talk about discrimination going on. So the Academy, what do? They kind of start acknowledging more diversity, more races getting involved. You got, there's more talks about women.
Women directors.
Yeah, I mean, and just making sure that they're being more inclusive. You have the Me Too movement going on. I mean, there's a lot of things that Hollywood has done behind curtains that probably would leave a severe black eye or just shut them down completely. Mm-hmm. So the stuff that makes it public, I think they do a really good job of opening arms and just saying, "Yep, we're." Not human, but
maybe
we're
make it a little more
perfect.
transparent.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, at least how it felt last night was they were going to just acknowledge that it happened. Everyone knows about it. You shouldn't shy away or hide it under the rug. You should just sit there, embrace it, and then Kimmel gets his stuff out there. And I bet you next year they probably don't reference it at all.
Yeah, that's my thinking because they could have totally gone two different ways with it. Like you said, they could have done what they did, which was acknowledge everything and kind of put it all out on the table and say, hey, we're acknowledging it. Aren't we being relatable with you, audience member? Or they could have gone the route of, we're not going to acknowledge this at all. We're just going to sweep it under the rug and just hope that we have a solid year without incident,
Yeah.
And I could see how that would have come across as disingenuous, almost them trying their hardest to act like everything's okay.
Yes.
So in a weird way, I kind of respect the fact that they put it out there. Now, I kind of tend to lean towards the thinking that it's them trying to save face more so than anything. Like, hey, if we acknowledge this, then you really can't be mad at us,
I don't know if it's mad at them. I mean, it's not like they gave Will Smith $10,000 to go up there and slap Chris Rock.
Right, but people were kind of not upset, but they were like, what the fuck, when he won an Oscar and was able to go back on stage later to accept it.
I would say it's kind of like the Super Bowl. Like if you had Patrick Mahomes go out there and like cold cock Jalen Hurts and he won the Super Bowl MVP, like
he would Jalen Hurts all right.
Yeah, and at that point, what do you how much shit's happening like right then and there for them to be like, there's no possible way. The best thing that I've ever seen happen was when and it wasn't anything violent, but it was what was Simpson, not Jessica, but her little Ashley Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when she went on SNL?
Yeah.
And they found out she was lip syncing?
Uh-huh.
Dude, that they had to figure out something in the next 20 minutes. In her next scene that she was supposed to come on and do something, they came up with this skit of like the non-talking bears.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just 5 minutes of them improvising with bear costumes on. Like, it's so hard to, like, in the moment, like, that's where people can get really upset. But it's like, you come up with something non-scripted on live TV and in front of the Oscars, like, this takes a year to plan.
Right.
That's not, what are you going to do?
Something going wrong that drastically, I feel could have easily made them, like, almost be stunned in what was happening. Like, how do we approach this? Like, what do we do? Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Do we just take it away from him right now? Like, did he really go up there? Like, you have to, there's so much you have to figure out. Mm-hmm. And then, like, you know, I mean, if you want to really get big themes into it, you have due process and all that stuff. Like, was this scripted? What is going, we have to do a little bit more research to figure out what just happened. Was it literally just an impulse moment for something that's non-precedent?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny to me that people would have that go that berserk. Well, I guess not, but you know.
Yeah. Some people, they read a lot into things. So I think a big standout moment was Ki Hai Kwan accepting his Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was a very impactful moment. He gave a really good speech. It was very concise, but also like really emotionally heartfelt. I feel like if they had another category for best speeches given at an Oscar, he would probably win that, you know?
Yeah.
And then he'd go up and accept it, but because he gave another speech accepting that award, they'd have to consider him again, and they'd have to hold another round of voting, and then it just never ends.
Well, I don't know. That's where you run into the danger of what happened with the Daniel friends.
The Daniels,
yeah. Like, they got the first one. I thought they did well. Who was it? The screenwriting? Because I think
they got best original screenplay.
Yeah, did they both go up there and accept it?
They did.
Okay, so I mean, they got that. Then they got director, and then they got
best picture.
Yeah, so I mean, like you're doing 3 of them. The second one, it fell off the rails hard.
Yeah, some of I found it amusing how certain people would be allowed a specific amount of time to say what they want to say, and then like someone wins for a technical category, some name that you've never even heard of. 2 people go up there, one person speaks, and then the other one wants to say something, and then the music starts playing. It's like, no, you're not famous enough. You don't get to chit chat.
I'm not gonna lie though, I feel bad about it, but at the same token, I'm like, it's more about the award than it is whatever you have to fucking tell us. You know, I know that everyone wants to get up there and say what they want to say and what happened and who they have to thank. Like, I understand that, but I think it's more about just getting that award. So just being up there on stage and being able to wave on live TV to everyone and blow a kiss, like,
yeah.
To me, I think I liked what they did this year. I thought it went by as quickly as it could for what was going on, and they didn't have any like, shut the fucking music off, I'm speaking.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking though, like, have it be for everybody. Like, even if it's a really uber famous person, just have them say their speech and then get it done with. I'm the opposite. Like, I know that there's more weight and gravity to awards than other awards. I mean, I know it's not fair, but like, you know, everything that goes into a best picture or into, you know, I mean, the actors, that's the talent versus, I mean, I do appreciate the technical aspects that people provide, but I mean, no one's going to know. And I think it's a nice nod to people that get it, but I don't think it encompasses like the best of that year, or, you know, who I don't exactly know how to phrase it, but I get it. I get what you're saying.
You know, yeah. And I'd much rather have Brendan Fraser up there and hear what he has to say than, you know, the sound mixing crew for, all
Top Quiet on the Western Front.
I thought, was it Top Gun that got it?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of the score.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there you go.
Well, there you have it. Was there anything else we wanted to talk about with the Oscars and what happened? I want to talk about a little bit about Cocaine Bear. That was kind of cringy.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. that's the one. So that they have Jimmy's got a script. They all have scripts because they're all reading off a teleprompter as it's going, right? So I'm always curious as to the announcers if they have a say in what they want to do. Like that felt like a really big plug for Cocaine Bear in a sense. Yeah, and I don't know if is it Elizabeth Banks?
Yeah,
if she had a say in having that happen, or if Kimmel's writing team,
or if Kimball was like, "Hey, wouldn't this be really funny, Elizabeth Banks?" And she was like, "Sure, yeah, all right, Jimmy, yeah, we'll do that."
It's a plug for her movie, so I mean,
yeah.
But that was very odd,
especially when it like started crawling up towards that Nobel Prize winning protester, that like I don't know, social icon warrior lady.
Yeah,
I don't know the full title. I'm very tired, like I said. So, but that was weirdly uncomfortable. They always have to have some like weird, goofy shit in there sometimes that just doesn't land at all.
I was about to say, I mean, you got to take a shot. I mean, you're filling 3.5 hours and trying to keep it entertaining. I mean, that thing is like, I didn't even think about it, but that has everything. I mean, you're talking about performances to original music being played. Like, I mean, I'm assuming it could all be, already pre-played, but, to people going up there giving acceptance speeches, like it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not like live comedy, like you're not going to be able to nail everything.
No.
I think it's more so this has probably been one of the better ones that I've watched recently.
This was, not only in terms of like the show, but I think also with the movie lineups.
Yeah.
Like I think this lineup was really good this year. Compared to last year too, I think.
We didn't have any blowhards up there that just kept going. I mean, the closest one were the Daniels. I mean, just like, all right, man, I get it.
It's like you've had 3 chances to give your speech and say what you want to say, and you're using every minute of every single speech you've been giving. So that's cool. I definitely understand that for sure. But our boy RRR,
Natu
RRR boy RRR won for best original song.
You're validated.
I am.
That's what we said. Kyle got validated with the Oscars.
Yep, absolutely. I was pretty giddy when that won. Not gonna lie, I was like, let's go. Had to break out the Tums again.
Yeah.
Heartburn started flaring up
from excitement.
Yeah, not the pizza, not the acid reflux.
Those are always one that goes, oh, Tums smoothies. They always go down a little bit smoother when it's from excitement and not from marinara sauce.
They don't really. I mean, they kind of go down smooth compared to like, I don't know, just a normal pill or liquid medicine or whatever. But
yes.
It still tastes like you're chewing on chalk that's laced in like maybe orange flavor or something.
So I always give me the chalk anytime that I had it pop up, man. Give me the chalk.
I mean, it works though. Like
100%.
Yeah.
I don't like doing medicine or anything like that, and I used to always think it was medicine, And I don't know. Then the last couple of years, I've just fallen in love with them.
Like I've only started taking Tums the past few months because I would just suffer from heartburn, and I didn't want to take anything for it because then that would be me acknowledging that I'm getting older. So
you just did it 10 minutes ago.
Well, character development, Mac. I'm growing.
Speaking of leading into things,
yes.
But yeah, no, I don't think it sucks because there isn't anything good to like really talk about from the Oscars. I mean, I thought everyone's performances, like the acceptance speeches, were really good. I thought Brendan Fraser's was incredibly. That was probably the most cringe-worthy event of the night for me, but it was very wholesome. So like it completely eliminated some of the uncomfortableness I felt for him.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that cringy. To me, it just came across as like very genuine. So
yeah,
you're gonna get a lot of like uncomfortable feelings when someone's that emotional.
It wasn't that. It was more so about he.
Was it the whale metaphors?
Dude, Okay, so we did say last night we weren't sure. It felt like he wasn't ready to win that award, and then he did, and it was just like, oh shit, I have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he was doing all that stuff, I was like, I feel like this is his attempt to write something out, and that's why I kind of like had the cringiness. I was like, all right, imagine he practiced that speech 8 times over the last 2 weeks before that moment, and now think about everything that he was using, and like probably felt like not the right way to go.
Imagine if they had takes for Oscar speech.
Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
all right, we're gonna go take 4. Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
You just won Best Lead Actor in a drama, and go,
Dude. But he also, but where it like the grace that I have for it is how nervous he was up there, and you could hear his voice trembling, and like he just, I don't know where he came from, and obviously he had a rough patch in there, almost not way worse than probably Keanu did. I know Keanu had a little bit of a rough patch too, but like he's been out of acting. Well, not out of acting, just hasn't really landed a good gig in 15 years.
Yeah. So it was a combination of things. The divorce from his wife, which cost him a lot of money because she got like a ridiculous amount every month, because at the time he was a huge movie star and they based it off of his income, and he was making a lot of money at the time.
Oh no. So then he kind of had a bad.
Yeah, he had a bad draw with that. He was dealing with health issues, and there's a few other things that I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was a conglomeration of things that kind of cacophonied into one big thing. So he stopped acting for a while, but yeah, he's back now. The Brendan Sance is in full swing.
I really hope he's like, Bill or Brendan, glad you're back. I'm not back.
Right.
He's back.
He's in Twister 2 or whatever.
Well, we don't need to go that far, but
two, before we wrap this whole talk up, just want to mention Everything Everywhere All at Once and All Quiet on the Western Front just pretty much sweeped the entire Oscars with like a few standouts here and there, but mostly it was those 2 movies that took the majority of the awards.
Which I don't think was that shocking.
No.
I mean, when you talk about...
No, not at all.
Yeah, like that's where... I know, there was me and my brother, we had a big thing going on when There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men, and like No Country, swept it besides Daniel Day, like winning, Best Actor. Yeah, like this one actually, like it felt pretty appropriate. Like, and from watching those movies that we'll get into, you had that feeling. Like I think watching it All Quiet when we talked about it, like I think we both agreed like this will probably do well in a lot of the technical aspects.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, there's so much passion and vigor behind it. It's like this has a chance to do really well just with the Academy, with how much, it's just ridiculously well made.
Yeah.
So.
And ridiculously made, you could say.
True.
Because it's a very ridiculous movie, but in the best way.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So I think with that's a good segue into talking about the movies.
Sure.
Do we want to go in any particular order, or do we just want to do how we did it last time, where we kind of go back and forth? I pick one, you pick one.
Deal. Let's do it that way.
Okay. You want to pick one first?
I do and I don't.
Oh.
I really
Okay.
I don't know what one I want to go into first, or if we just get some of the easy ones out of the way and get some of the harder. God bless it. You know what? Let's just do it. We have to do it. I have to get it off my chest just because I whatever I'm thinking about this movie, we should just talk about. Elvis.
All right. This is a good, I think, lead off.
I think so too.
Yeah. So, Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, stars Austin Butler, Tom Hanks, and is basically what the movie suggests it is. It chronicles the life, the rise and fall of Elvis Presley, and the sort of relationship he has with his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, played so effortlessly by Tom Hanks. And yeah,
right?
That's pretty much the movie. It's almost 3 hours.
It's a biopic of his life, right?
Yes, very stylistic biopic. in every sense of the word stylistic. So
yes.
I know that you do not care for this movie very much.
No, I'm not going to lie. So we agreed to do, we're going to do the 10 films, and I had 5 or 6 left, and I was like, I want to get an easy one out of the way, one that I think I'll enjoy, that'll go down smooth. And I was chewing glass for about 3 hours.
Damn.
Yeah, it was miserable. From leading off with Tom Hanks just doing whatever the fuck that was.
Oh my God. He's the worst part of the movie by a mile, in my opinion. He fucking brings it down so hard.
I think the worst part of the movie is the movie itself.
Okay.
But
all right.
there's so many bad things in the saying. Like, he's just a part of it.
Oh, I don't know, man. He's a pretty big part of why I don't.
It didn't really. So here, I give great. I keep saying grace, but like I don't mind it because I don't know that guy. Like, that could be as close to an accent that we know. Like, the only thing we can go off of is other people that have heard him, right? Like, it's just bad. But that guy could have talked like that. So like, I don't really get into like, man, that's just really shitty. Now, him acting and some of the ways that he was acting, yeah, pretty. I couldn't tell how, like, I felt like he was an executive producer, and I was like, I'm only giving you money if I'm in it. Right?
Yeah. Like, it didn't feel, it felt appropriate, but it didn't feel appropriate at the same time. And I know you just said that, it's fine if he actually sounded like that, but in my mind, when you're taking such a creative liberty with this movie already, why not have a character who's supposed to be a more villain character be a little more sinister and intimidating instead of fucking goofy and over the top like Tom Hanks was?
Oh my God. Who was the Inglourious Bastards and Django?
Oh, Christoph Waltz.
Yeah. He probably could have. He easily could have just shifted in there.
I always say that John Goodman could have played a good version of that character.
Yeah, I don't. But that's why I'm like, if he's, I don't know if that. It's just a hard accent. I think. I don't know. Tom Hanks didn't give a fuck. That's all I took away from it. Like, it wasn't everyone bashed his accent. I was like, he's just bad. Like, it felt like someone's like, you're gonna do this film, and like had his daughter at gunpoint.
Some would say I'm the villain of this here story.
Leads off with it.
That's like one of the first lines of the movie, I'm pretty sure.
It is. And then like watching it, the villain's Elvis Presley dancing. Dude, oh my God. Okay. Well, fuck it. We're talking about all these things.
Yes.
It was ludicrous. They don't get into him pretty much treating Elvis like a monkey till the end of the film. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if this was... The reason why I had a problem with it is because half the film, they're like, just in case you forgot, he can't dance. And like, they have to keep reminding the audience members that this is taboo, right?
Yeah. What he's doing is a sin.
Yeah, they make dancing like the main villain, like what he was doing to culture. Then they kind of keep the Colonel involved, and you don't get to the very end of him being like, I keep 50% of whatever you make. That's why you've been doing this the whole time.
Right.
And it's like, oh, if I had known that that's how ridiculous this was, why didn't you just introduce this earlier in some fucking random ass conversation? So the whole time I would actually feel bad for Elvis.
Yeah.
Elvis himself is such an iconic character, but he wasn't without fault, or he wasn't imperfect, right?
He's not blameless for everything that's happened to him.
He's got a lot of the fame, and sometimes you don't feel bad, and a lot of what he was doing, but they don't go into that, which I'm like, this is totally fucking biased. Mm-hmm. They don't talk about his wife, who he got when he was over in Vietnam when she was like 13 or 14.
She was 14 years old. They do not portray that at all.
They don't mention that. They don't go into his drug use while he was over there. They don't really get into him drinking. They only do one scene where they have to like bring him out of cardiac arrest or something like that to get him on stage at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And then they don't even touch it. Until even at the very end when he's like fat as shit, they just throw on a random scene where he's just all of a sudden fat.
It does, yeah. It doesn't feel like there's any buildup. It just feels like he's normal Elvis. Maybe there's a few problems here and there, but for the most part, he's doing all right. And then all of a sudden, he's fat as hell. Yeah. He's breathing heavy. He's doing all these drugs. He's sleeping with all these people that aren't his wife. Like, it all comes very sudden, which is weird because the movie's so long. It's like almost 3 hours, right?
Because because they don't touch shit. It was so fucking safe. And all Baz Luhrmann does is like, we're just going to throw cameras everywhere and fucking take this to the 10th degree stylistically.
Oh, man. So I think I will say to you right now, I think I enjoyed this movie more than you did.
Hell yeah. You 100% did.
I think because I kind of enjoyed the pace of it for the first hour and a half, I would say. Maybe hour. I enjoyed how quick it was and how like unabashedly just forward moving the movie was for the most part. And then I think it hits the point where he plays on stage and he like has his pinky up and then he starts like defying the police on stage outside.
Yeah.
And he starts playing really loudly and dancing and like kind of rebelling against them. And then he's sent off to wherever the fuck, Germany.
That didn't happen. That was dude. There's so many factual inaccuracies in that too. Because I'm like watching these things, I was like, oh, that would be cool if this happened, right?
We seem to have a trend this year for inaccurate biopics.
What was the other one? Are
Blonde.
Glad that we don't have to talk about that again.
No.
Well, that was fictionalized though. That was like I don't want it. That was wasn't that based on a book, or they took that?
It was based on a book that was already taking creative liberties with Marilyn Monroe's life.
Right. This one wasn't. This one they just were like, well, this will play better in a storyline.
Right.
Like that general wasn't there. That didn't happen. He went to war as more of a marketing ploy. And I think Elvis, to some extent, wanted to support the country, right? Yeah. So, but they were like, we're going to send you over there and we're going to use this as America's, good guy. We're going to really build you up. That's why he would do a lot of PR stuff to keep his name going. And the colonel, I'm guessing, was behind it. But he didn't defy the police. Now I think that concert actually happened, and they went nuts with his dancing, but it wasn't like we have to send you to Germany right now. Well, if you embarrass a colonel, you're getting sent. Instead of going to jail, you're going to war. Yeah, that's what they said. Like, we're gonna send you to jail. Like, they made this whole thing up that now. Probably in today's day and age with everything going on, it's very hard to convey pop culture, right? What he was doing and how much of an impact that had on America. Just because where we're at now with, music comes out and you could pretty much say whatever you want, So at that stage in the game, he was really revolutionizing pop culture and what it meant to be like a figurehead, So I think they had a hard time figuring out what are we going to do, but Baz Luhrmann's not the guy to figure that out. Like, worst director to pick to do something like this.
Something that's like totally just out there. Like, I'm very conflicted because I do like a lot of the choices that he made in terms of like the technical stuff. So like the editing was, I thought, like fun for like the first, like I said, hour. And then it got to that scene, and then it totally dragged out. Like, the movie should have been, like, not even 2 hours, I think. Like, totally cut down. And especially if you're going to edit it in such a fast-paced way. Like, you just get burnt out of the movie so quickly. But I don't know. Like, some of the music choices were really weird, too.
Yeah, they didn't pick any of his, like, famous songs.
Well, even if they did play some of his songs, they were, like, remixed and modernized in a weird way.
That's the shit I'm talking about. Everything that he did was, like, if you took a 14-year-old from today and was like, I want you to think about the 50s, and like whatever you think of is going to pop on the screen. That's what it would look like.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why it was so fucking dumb. Like, he just took it and he's like, we're going to take Elvis and we're going to put him in fucking 2022.
Yeah.
And it, like, don't do that. Like, I want to see more of, like, he was such a controversial character, and like what he did at the time was revolutionary for pop culture. Give me some of that shit.
Yeah.
Give me 2 hours of like why he couldn't dance. I would take, if there was a whole thing of 2 hours on just what he was doing. They do it one time. This is honestly, there's the first time I was like, what are we doing? Was when he was a kid and he goes to the guy that was playing the guitar. It was like Muddy Waters, but it wasn't Muddy Waters, but it was like that, like blues, what do they call it? Like, because they called his music hillbilly rock, right? But I can't remember the bluesy stuff. You know, it was kind of like it was like a little bit like jazz with the guitar. Like I can't really. If you're a music guy, sorry, Gideon, don't kill me. He goes to watch that guy, and they just start dancing. It's very like intimate and sensual, you know, and they're rubbing on each other and stuff. And I was like. So 10-year-old Elvis is watching this, and he's like, I'm going to play that music. I was like, I don't think that's what happened. You know what I'm saying?
You think it's a little exaggerated?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit, okay? Mm-hmm. And then they get into, Colonel Tom Parker, who's talking about how he's a carny, and he's got one guy that plays the same 3 songs over and over, and everyone loves him, and how there's this Elvis Presley guy, and he's going to play that hillbilly rock, or I can't remember the exact phrase from it. And they bring him out, and then they show a girl, okay, pretty much having like an orgasm on screen.
Oh, there's like tons of them.
This was like Colonel Tom Parker just looks over. It's just her by herself. Like she was sitting in a chair, and it was all of like 15, 20 seconds. And I'm like, okay, one, this is wildly inappropriate because that chick's like 16. Okay, like this, you're trying to like how he's impersonating, like how he's getting young girls to buy into his music, and like what he's doing to this with this demographic, right? I was like, 2, like I don't think that's how people reacted to it. I think they just went nuts and were like, oh my God, fainting at him, but nothing where it was like anything they depicted there.
There's a lot of things in this movie that are exaggerated, I think, for the purpose of matching whatever tone it was he wanted to have, which I can kind of give it a pass because I'm gonna expect a movie like this to take creative liberties and kind of do whatever it wants to do, like, which I'm usually don't have any opposition to that if it's done in a tasteful way, like whatever, like as long as the movie's fine, you know.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't even like tastefully done. This is just I threw on The Great Gatsby. I had to see it. I mean, it's just this is what he does. I mean, he just takes all like Gangster Squad. I would have to imagine he did that. No, maybe not. Maybe he did. I don't fucking know. He just takes these. He just makes spectacles out of them. But it's like there's no character driven portion of this at all. Austin Butler did a great job as Elvis, but I think it's just because Elvis is iconic, and to get Elvis down with that accent, you know, and just to dance like him and get up there with a guitar, like it's not like any character growth. It's just like, oh sweet, like I get to watch Elvis and I feel like I'm watching him. That's about it. Other than that, was there any character arcs? Did you feel any sort of relationship with the characters?
I was invested overall in what was happening to Elvis as a character, and I think a lot of that has to do with how Austin Butler portrayed him in the movie. I was very compelled by his performance of it, and I thought it was really good.
I didn't.
To each his own, but I enjoyed following him and watching him like go through it. Now, I didn't really enjoy the pacing of it all that much. I didn't enjoy how dragged out it felt, and I sure as hell didn't enjoy Tom Hanks's Colonel
That's what
Tom.
I'm saying. Like,
but you know, there's some things about this movie that I appreciate, and overall, I appreciate that it's not boring, that it's not like a standard like biopic about like a musician. Like, I like to compare this movie to Bohemian Rhapsody, where that movie to me is got nothing real special going on about it. Like, okay, maybe Rami Malek's performance is good as Freddie Mercury.
There you go. But that's what I'm saying. Austin Butler, same thing. Like, you go that it's the because of the characters of who they're representing.
But still, to me, this movie feels like it has a little more going for it creatively than Bohemian Rhapsody did. That movie felt so standard and cookie cutter to me that I just
and this one didn't?
was so bored. This one had a little bit more stylistic stuff going on with the editing and the cuts and the frenetic energy of it. And like I said, the pacing for the first hour I enjoyed. Like, I thought, okay, if this keeps it up, I might actually really dig this movie, you know? And then, of course, it starts going downhill, but
this was the most PG biopic I've seen about a guy that's rated X that you could possibly come up with. Like, Elvis Presley.
Was this PG-13?
Yeah, because of some of the dancing that was going on. Like, this was so fucking safe for a guy that he was doing coke.
I couldn't remember if it was PG-13 or R, but I don't remember there being any like nudity or violence.
No, this is PG-13, probably because of drugs, maybe a little bit of language and the dancing. Like, I gotta imagine, like, if you looked it up, that's the MPA rating would be for that.
Yeah.
And if someone had a behind the scenes story with Elvis, I bet you drug, alcohol, women involved. None of that gets even touched. Mm-hmm. Even some of the controversial stuff that they could have even went into, they glossed over or just totally denied it, and then they fabricated other things.
I agree.
His music, right, was so controversial just within the black community at the time. Because he was taking a lot of that music and he was taking liberties, but he was using his skin to essentially lift him up. You know, and the funny thing is there's so much polarity in it. Some people think it's disgusting, like at the time, you know, and other guys are like, that's great. Like no one said he stole it from us. I mean, and if you go through, like, I read a little bit, like when he was young, he would listen to it on the radio. Like he grew up in a podunk area, and that's the access that he had to the music. So that's what he learned.
Yeah.
Right. We're not going to even worry about it. I don't want to dive into that.
Well, it's weird to me too, and I totally agree with you. I think if you're going to show a unabashed, like uncensored, like transparent view of Elvis's life, you have to have at least an R-rated movie for that. I think you have to have an honest depiction of what took place there, especially if you want to match the energy that you want to have with this movie, because yeah, if you want to do like all these quick cuts and like this editing and like this frenetic energy and these weird transitions and all this like energetic stuff going on, I feel like you have to include elements from the real world and from Elvis's life that would maybe justify the movie feeling like that.
Yeah.
But they don't, because, you know, PG-13 gets more butts and seats to see it. So.
Well, and it was what Boz was going for. And that's why I just get really frustrated. I really wish he just wasn't attached to it, because I think at some point there will be a good Elvis movie out there.
Yeah, just recast Austin Butler. Maybe get rid of Tom Hanks.
I mean, like and Austin Butler, I think could have done a good job portraying like some of those emotional scenes. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they gave him any room to. They didn't. That's what I'm saying, and that's why I don't disagree with you in terms of like what was going on with him, between him and Rami, because I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody. This one I just was like, I never really. I believed Austin Butler was Elvis, but that's as far as I got. You know,
he might still be Elvis. His voice is broken.
Well, now the Academy, it's over, so he can go on to his next character that he just completely dives into.
Yeah, Dune. He's gonna come out and he's gonna be like, hey, Paul Atreides, that's my hound dog. So we can wrap this one up, move on to the next one. What would we rate it, and where is it on your ranking?
This is so I think I gave this a 4 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's low for a Mac rating.
It's like just below the Mendoza line.
Okay.
Yeah, three's the one where you're in really deep shit. There's just a couple things, because I'm with you. The editing and the frenetic pacing of this, the up to a certain point for me. I think I was at the same point you were, if not a little bit before, where I just completely fell off and was just like, this movie blows. Yeah, and then it's a 10th best picture nomination out there for me. So it's at
the very bottom of your ranking.
Yes.
Okay. I think I gave this a 7 out of 10.
Oh God.
I don't know if I'm just being more forgiving of it, but I really do appreciate that it wanted to be something different. I like Austin Butler, and I think that the pacing hooked me in for at least the first hour, like I said. But yeah, it's got some issues. But
yes,
overall, to me, it's just more interesting, and because of that, I at least got something out of it. So 7 out of 10. I think it's at number 7 for my rankings.
Oh my God.
Well,
we'll find out.
Oh, we'll find out. We'll have some fun discussions.
Yes. Well, yeah, you get to pick the next one.
Okay. So I think we could talk about the Fabelmans.
All right.
Let's talk about the Fabelmans. So, did you want to describe this one, since I got?
Yeah. Yes. Let me pull it up. The Fabelmans, directed by. Oh, you can't just do the Fables. You got to do the Fabelmans. Am I spelling this wrong?
It's Fabel.
EL. Right. IMDb does such a great job where if you miss it by a letter, you're not going to be even in the same realm.
Letterboxd is the same exact way.
Maybe there's just so many goddamn movies out there that's why they have to do it.
Or they just like being unforgiving.
I think that's snobby.
Yeah. It's like you're going to get it right or you're not going to get it at all.
Yeah. Struggle. Good luck.
Yeah.
So this is written and directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Michelle Williams as Mitzi Fabelman. Oh, Gabrielle LaBelle, Sammy Fabelman, Paul Dano as Bert Fabelman, Judd Hirsch, the Oscar-nominated Judd Hirsch.
Oh, yes. Great performance.
As Uncle Boris, and Seth Rogen as Benny Lowy. Wow, yeah. That was so odd, him just being... I wasn't ready for that watching this thing.
When he just popped up.
Just say, Uncle Benny's here.
Yeah.
I get the uncle part because, I mean, that's like, I had, a good family friend that was an uncle growing up. But, yeah, him walking in, I was like, "What? How long is he going to be in here?" So growing up in post-World War II era Arizona, young Sammy Fabelman aspires to become a filmmaker. So essentially it's about Steven Spielberg, loosely based, maybe incredibly based on his life growing up. And starts out with a young Sammy Fabelman, and he gets introduced right away to the great train robbery, something like that.
Yeah, train movie.
Yeah, and he starts recreating it, and all of a sudden it's just a deep dive into him exploring film and how it's going to impact his life. And there is a little contrast with life itself happening. And just the elements of events happening that are out of your control and just processing and understanding. And probably using film as a way to cope and help understand those things that are just a little bit above your head when you're a young man. So, that's what I got for it, Kyle.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, so I saw this not soon after it came out, probably like maybe a month after it was released in theaters. Just went and I checked it out just because I was curious and there wasn't really much else playing at the time. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy this movie. I like it for what it is. It seems, I don't know, some people are calling it Oscar bait a little bit, but I feel like there's another movie in here that's more so like that. But we'll get to that later. But no, I liked the performances. The story I thought was decent. It's nothing like new or, unique or anything. It's a very like Steven Spielberg type of film. But I mean, this is a movie where I think it kind of not really falls off, but the quality sort of takes a dip in the third act of the movie, at least for me anyway. Yeah. Because I feel like it starts off really consistent with the first two acts where it's Sammy learning his love for movies. It's him sort of getting into that as like a hobby, and then the hobby turns into a passion. It becomes what he wants to do ultimately. And through that, he learns that his mom is basically cheating on his dad with Seth Rogen, with Benny. And, I feel like those two acts as like those sort of jumping off themes, I think they work well off of each other and are consistent with each other. And then you don't really get that in the third act. You get Sammy struggling with moving to a new school and learning to fit in, which is, I think, an interesting choice to depict in a movie like this, where it seems like the character is going through an arc almost of wanting to become a filmmaker, and then ultimately he sort of like gives up on that dream. There's like a falling action type of thing through the hero's journey where, okay, he feels despair, he feels sad, but then we're going to show him going through high school and we're going to introduce all these new characters and he's going to have all these new struggles now. Whereas we're not going to talk about the mom again. We're not going to talk about his love of filmmaking again until like the last 10 minutes of the movie, which I don't know. To me, it just felt a little inconsistent with the first two acts, but I don't know. That's really my biggest criticism with it. I am just now kind of thinking about it. I mean, it almost goes hand in hand. I mean, the way that you're talking about it, but I think the third act, it even kind of not explores on it, but I mean, they show parallel
lines with the mom wanting to go back to Benny and him wanting to go back into movies, and probably both of them coming to the understanding that they shouldn't have to hide these feelings or emotions and they should just accept what they want to do. And maybe now they both understand. Now, the mom was always supportive, though. So I think it would have been better if she maybe wasn't in that line, a little bit of that gripe against him. There's a little bit more conflict in their relationship. So then they both understand. I mean, it's hard to suppress some of these emotions or what you want to do in terms of passion, and what you're maybe willing to sacrifice or stepping into your own and understanding, because like we say, I mean, there's things outside of your control. One is controlling your kid's passion for what they want to be when they grow up, and the other one is who your mom loves. So, I think that third act, they tried it a little bit. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's all of a sudden he's thrust into high school and he's dealing with some of the high school boys. And I think maybe it's dealing with him coping with what's going on and struggling in that aspect and not fully being who he's gonna be.
Yeah.
And it's Steven Spielberg, dude. He plays it safe all the time. So I mean, like, what do you, I thought it was cute and it was a little whimsical and it was
very Steven Spielberg
safe
adjectives to use in this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's because I'm with you, and I think that there's a little bit there in terms of parallel storylines, or at least with growth of the characters and understanding what they want to do, or at least kind of playing off of each other. That way, as they start to realize the choices that they're making, how it's in. But there wasn't enough conflict with the mom. The mom was always supportive of them, so it's kind of like.
I know. I really wish there was more of a through line with those first two acts versus the third act. And I don't even have necessarily an issue with it being a safe Steven Spielberg movie.
Right.
Because like you said, you kind of expect that from him. And he does it really well. Like there's a reason why he's Steven Spielberg, But at the same time, I don't know. I wish there was more of a through line with it. I wish we had a little more involvement in that last act. Because to me, it was a little bit... I don't want to use the word jarring, but just very sudden that we were introduced to all these new characters in this new situation. And then towards the very end, it shows him a little bit older with his dad again. And all of a sudden, he's back into the world of making movies and wanting to be on that path again.
I wouldn't say again. I mean, I don't think he ever strayed from it. I mean,
he was about to sell his camera. He was about to give up filmmaking. And then Benny convinced him to keep the camera. I think
it's
been a minute since I've seen it.
Well, no, you're right. But that was before he had got to the new school.
It was like right before, he got to the new school
because they hadn't moved yet, and Benny was saying so long.
Yeah,
and he was pretty much going like, you can't give this up."
And then that's kind of the attitude too I got when he first arrives at the school and he sees the poster for how they need a filmographer or whatever for a certain event they're doing for school at the beach day or whatever.
Yes.
And then he just kind of ignores it and he doesn't really think much of it. And that to me was him sort of like not necessarily giving up, but just
you're right. It was as close as I need to get away from my dreams because my mom's cheating on my dad and nothing's worth living for.
Yeah, he was kind of emo Steven Spielberg in that moment.
Yeah.
Very much down on his luck type deal.
Yes.
But I mean, I really like Paul Dano. I thought the kid actor was really good. The kid actor who played Sammy. I thought he did a really good job. Yeah, and not even just him, but like the little kid when we first see him in the beginning.
Yeah,
I like when you see little kids on screen and like they're believable as those characters, rather than like it just feeling like, oh, an adult wrote this for me to say. M. Night Shyamalan.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought all of it. I really liked Paul Dano in it. I thought he was great. I liked him and. As a very grounded individual, just being, I'm trying to think, incredibly smart, nerdy, right, grounded. Mm-hmm. The way he approached things and the advice that he was giving, he was well thought out, but you could tell he could process things at a much faster rate than everyone else. Mm-hmm. So everything that he kind of came off, it was with intent every time he spoke about something, and it wasn't necessarily emotionless, but he definitely detached himself from what he was saying in terms of what he was giving to that person that he was talking to. So I really liked him. Seth Rogen in this was all right.
Yeah, it was
So
hard. It was
odd.
hard for me to separate Seth Rogen from the
Why
character.
did they? Is it just because
It's
he
an
was the
interesting
exact
casting choice.
opposite of the dad? Like, hey, this is Seth Rogen. He like just if you see him, like Spielberg is like, if anyone sees that guy, they just know he smokes a lot of weed and he takes nothing seriously. Let's grab him. We won't worry about It doesn't even need to be named Benny. He can be named fucking Fiedo. All right, but
Fiedo?
people are gonna see him and know that he's the exact opposite of the dad.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there is a figure in Steven Spielberg's real life that maybe reminded him of Seth Rogen in a way. So maybe he thought, I need this guy to play this character because he reminds me a lot of who I have in mind.
Yeah, but it's not even like a Spielberg type guy that he would have in a film.
I know, but
You know?
maybe that's the point of it. Maybe he's like, you know what? I'll give Seth a shot.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of throw him a bone. Maybe have him see what his acting chops are like, you know?
Yeah.
We'll have you play Uncle Benny, which, I mean, he's not terribly different from any other character he normally plays in a movie.
No.
Kind of goofball, sort of jokester character who doesn't really take much seriously. Like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I like you said, I really like Paul Dano. I do like how later in the movie, and we talked about this yesterday, how they attempt to make him older by just graying his sideburns a bit and giving him thicker glasses.
I thought it was bold.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I still don't believe you as what are you supposed to be now, 50?
Yeah, I never knew his age throughout the whole thing. That's why I really liked it too, is because he could have been 35 throughout that whole film. As that kid got older, he was still 35.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's just why
Maybe Steven Spielberg's dad actually aged that well.
he was just timeless.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we were portraying. We were just a timeless character.
That's
here.
how he views his dad, as just a timeless figure that he respects so much.
It's who's got the most baby face of them all. It's like we go through here. We don't have
Oh my
to,
God.
you know.
Paul Dano.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I feel like he maybe should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor
100%.
in
I didn't
place
know
of
why.
Judd Hirsch. That confused me so much.
Maybe Judd's been this year. Kind of felt like a lot of nods going up for longtime Academy members that maybe just haven't gotten their due.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he has or hasn't. But he didn't do anything in this film that was all of a sudden, wasn't it just his mom's like uncle or brother?
Yeah.
Dad?
It's like a not super distant relative that shows up and like stays with them for a day.
Yeah.
And then they have the scene in the bedroom because he like shares a bedroom with the kid, with Sammy, for that night. And he's like giving him advice about doing what he wants and like following his dreams. I feel like I can't remember all that well because
he did the thing where he goes, you got family and you got art.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you will never, if you want to continue to be a part of the family, you won't be able to pursue what you want to pursue because they will always say you can't do it, because art is one of those things where it's no one knows it and you don't know how it's going to appeal to the members of society. So it's just not the safest route to go. And you're talking from his dad, who was the safest guy on the planet, which made the whole affair thing just crazy to him. You know. And that's what he came in for, and they just had rounds of dialogue though, and he was asking, because I think he was in it was a great train robbery, or I don't remember what it was called, but he was in like one of the first films that became
Talkies.
Yes, I was gonna say Speaksies.
Speakeasy.
Yeah, totally blending notions. Yeah, so that they had like that kind of dialogue. I just remember I was watching it being like, don't know what this is supposed to do here, because I feel like this kid's not going to drift away from film. So like this guy coming in and just saying this is what you have to do really doesn't do anything for me.
Right, and it doesn't help too that it's just a not even 10-minute scene that he's in it for.
No.
And then they are like, hey, that's good enough. Let's nominate him for supporting actor.
It was bizarre.
It was very bizarre.
Yeah,
but
Paul Dano was fantastic in this thing, and every time he came in, I don't know, I loved him. Like it was just
yeah, he's one of my favorite parts of this movie for sure.
Yeah.
And I also like too the themes of what we were just talking about with art versus family, how like your passions sometimes butt heads with what your relationships are. And so there's a bit of a conflict with that. It almost kind of felt like, You know how in Whiplash, like, no spoilers, but there's sort of that same sort of conflict between like passion and relationships.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like maybe they were trying to go that route, but not as extreme. Like, there's an acknowledgement of it, and it makes you think about the implications of that, but it really doesn't go much further past that, because the movie is also dealing with other issues. You know, it's not just a one focus type thing, but I like that it included it at least as like a anecdotal little like, hey, this is something that you have to think about if you really want to follow your passions.
It's a very grounded movie in that realm, is how I would view it. It's, if you were talking about someone that was going to become like Whiplash is to the 10th degree, right? If you were going to talk about someone that was pursuing becoming an artist and any normally, now to say, because like musicians, but like that's probably the life that you would be experiencing, is like a lot of these unique choices that you have to make, that you're fearful of and you don't know where you're going, but at the same token, like you're very creative in what you're doing, and a lot of people think that you're awesome, but there's a lot of people in the world that have that. It's just very hard to succeed. So I mean, this was kind of like a grounded, you know, within its roots movie about what it was just like growing up and pursuing that. And then they had the backdrop of, you know, it's kind of, that's what I thought there was something there with the mom just cheating on the dad. And I don't know if that really happened to Steven Spielberg or not, but I felt like it was kind of used as this like ploy to say, like, even pursuing, you know, your creative interests, like you should stick with family, but even you could see family could betray you. Like there just isn't anything, you shouldn't fall into having to do this one thing because that's what's common, you know? And that's why I think they kind of played off each other a little well. And then the high school thing was just kind of, I thought it was just really weird. I hate when they just thrust in bullies. I really do.
Oh, yeah, that stereotypical, like, varsity jacket bully who is like, I'm going to stick your head in the toilet, give you a swirly. Yeah. Jew boy or whatever. Yeah. Like, they make fun of him for being Jewish, too.
Maybe it was, and he might have went through that. You know, I never really got picked on, so I don't know. But, like, it just, I don't like it's such a caricature. You know, like just having that. So what do you
like? It's weird how we go from thinking about the implications of dreams and passion versus family and relationships to standard high school like story with jock bully and cute girl that he dates. Like, I don't know. To me, like you said, it just felt very like cliche, I think is the right word for it.
I don't know. It didn't really, and you're right. It didn't play off anything except that he was just going through, and then he just had to make more choices. And then they have the weird thing where he's like, "I filmed you because you're the talent," and it's like, "Oh, okay."
Which I mean, that scene in itself, I didn't hate. Like, I enjoyed it, but I just wish it would have had a more cohesive connection. You know,
that's what
with the entire film.
Yes. Hard to say. It was just the whole movie just had that tone though. It just felt a little unhinged, just a little bit like normal.
Maybe not as unhinged as Elvis.
No, but I'm saying like it's whimsical, it's cute, it's wholesome. You're kind of dealing with some real life things, but it's a very low level intensity. You know, a lot of things that people can relate to. It doesn't have to be the mom doing that. It could be, you know, maybe the dad struggling with the income or just the family moving constantly. Like it's just a lot of like, it's low impact, low intensity events happening that will affect your life. Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like he still has to make it into a story and he still has to, you know, move these parts to make it feel right. So that's why it felt a little unhinged, because it's like, I feel like this would be a lot more sloppy in the real world than what you're giving us right now.
Right.
You know, it's all cookie cutter. I shouldn't say it like that, but boxed up, kind of handed to you. You open it up, it's a little like, oh no, you know. And then, but as you just kind of, you know, move your puzzle pieces along, you're like, oh okay, it didn't get ruined that much. Like,
yeah. At the end of the day, it's still a story. It's still something that he took creative liberties with. But I mean, it's a kind of not reflection, but sort of revisiting of things that have actually happened to him and like things he's gone through, and maybe kind of going through it with a different lens, you know. Was there anything else we wanted to talk about this?
Good.
I can go into mine first since you got first last time.
Yeah.
So I think I gave this an 8 out of 10. and it is number 5 on my ranking.
I had a feeling it was going to be up there. I wasn't sure, actually. After last night, you said some things. I was like, oh, it must have dropped down. I gave this is a 7 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
And this is, now, all right. So I'm going to say this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 4 through 8 to me were tough. And I always struggle with that middle area.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But this is number 8. But this is as close to probably, let me see what do I have here.
Remind myself of my list.
Well, this is probably as close to 6 as it is 8. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like my two least favorite ones by far fucking my 2 least favorite. And my top 3 probably a little bit head and shoulders above, the next 4. So, this is number 8 for me, 7 out of 10. But I thought this was well done, and it's an easy watch. And I think that anyone could probably sit down and watch this film. I don't think you have to be jaded against life, nor do you have to be afraid of, like, a little bit of conflict happening that you kind of get anxious.
I think most people could get something out of it.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So what's the next one we're tackling?
Great. What do we want to do next?
It's up to you.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of a movie. Maybe we'll get a quick one out the way since we've done 2 pretty good discussions. Let's do... okay. Let's do... we're going to get it out the way. All Quiet.
Okay. So yeah, this is one we've talked about before, but I can summarize this real quick. This is a German film that depicts World War II from the German side and follows this character named Paul as he's a young soldier who enlists. He volunteers because he's very patriotic and he wants to really be involved with the fight, with the good fight, maybe feel some glory and honor along the way, and he quickly realizes that war is not that. So it pretty much follows him throughout the conflict as he experiences brutality, tragedy, forced, very heavily implicated moral decisions, and there's other characters elsewhere that are trying to negotiate a deal to end the war on this train, and it shows the sort of dichotomy between the people fighting out there that are actually losing their lives and the people calling the shots. So
yes,
like I said, we've talked about this before. I really like this movie. No surprise that it won a lot of the technical stuff for the Oscars because I think it just does a really good job cinematically, sound wise. I think it does a really good job with the soundtrack, and yeah, just overall compelling anti-war movie.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Mac, was there anything that you have thought of since watching it and talking about it the first time that maybe we didn't discuss? Or
I don't know. I mean, we might figure something out here. I'm just trying. I got a buddy of mine that I didn't think would like this film at all, and he said he loves it. I mean, I think it's like a top 3 film of the year for him.
Yeah,
it's very shocking. So I mean, it's one of those movies. I don't know if I might go back and revisit. I mean, it is like eating a pound cake, right?
It's very heavy.
My God.
Yeah.
I'm
in a similar situation with you where I told a coworker about it, and then he checked it out like pretty much the next day. And then he came back and he was like, dude, that movie was fucking good.
Yeah.
And I was like, sick, I'm glad. I think it's interesting, too, that so A24 for Everything Everywhere won like 7 Oscars. And Netflix took a lot home, too, with All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
And I saw this comment, and it made me think, oh, like standard studio movies that release in theaters aren't, they're not the monopoly anymore in terms of what wins awards and what doesn't. You know? I think that's an interesting sort of anecdote to make.
You open up the playing field, and they might, honestly, what's going on with social media and all that stuff, not to take away from All Quiet, but I mean, just kind of going into like the streaming services, and there's so much more access to media now that you really, you can't have that monopoly. You can't, like the five major production houses, if you will, or the 3 or the 4, however many there are. they'll still get their money, but they aren't going to rule and they aren't going to have the say. And they might, I mean, maybe the Oscar or the Academy or someone started to see this is what happens when we give this much power to these people with how much money's coming through. Is that, you know, you see a Harvey Weinstein like effect happening.
Yeah.
You know, I shouldn't say effect, but an event. You know, and how much more of those do you want to have go on? You know, and also, I mean, A24 within. I mean, they take chances on a lot of different films. Mm-hmm. And I guess, you know, Netflix, I think, has the exact opposite approach of we're going to find something that's unique and incredibly innovative and, creative, and we're just going to throw everything out there and see what one's hit.
Yeah.
And I think they got lucky. They got lucky with this one.
I think so.
And the guy that made this, I think this had to have been a passion project for him.
Oh, yeah. It feels very meticulously made. It feels like nearly every shot has a purpose. Mm-hmm. And, I just really like the way it's filmed, and I like the way it's told. What's interesting to me, kind of going back to the Netflix thing, is that there are still some people who believe that movies that come out on Netflix and Hulu and other streaming services shouldn't be nominated for awards simply because they come out on streaming services, which I think is really
old school,
fucking stupid.
That's old school thinking, man. Old school thinking.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference between people who are like cinema purists, who like the only thing that they like is stuff that comes out in theaters and is in black and white and like the indie scene or whatever. And then there's people who like are trying to actively like gatekeep what movies get picked for what certain criteria.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's just baffling to me. But
I used to be one of those. I mean, like when I heard Netflix was out, I kind of scoffed at it. But you know, now I mean, we've gotten to the point now. Like I could care less.
Right.
If it's a good film, and you did something that made a lot of people awe and gasp, like you should get your name recognized. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, so it's like why should we make this? Why should we have such a narrow scope on who gets invited to this? Well, besides getting slapped, like who gets invited or who like what we recognize. You know. Mm-hmm. So, and it's fun to see some of those other small films coming out. And this is a movie too. I mean, 15 years ago, it might not have had a chance to have the success that this has happened because of the fact that Netflix brought it out there and millions of people could watch this if you just have a subscription versus, I'm not going to lie, you tell me like, hey, we're going to go see this in theaters. I am probably like going to hold out until it's at the plaza. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not going to I wasn't going to drop $18 to go see this thing just because like you're telling me it's in German subtitles. Like it's going to be slow. I've seen the 1970 version of this. Like we watched that in class.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I've seen the second. I think this is the third iteration of this film.
Yeah, there's a book. There's a 70s version. And then I think there's an older version, too.
That's what I think there's one from the 50s.
Yeah.
And then Sam's probably, like, listening to this, like, what the fuck?
See, pulling out his hair.
Oh, my God. Yeah. You're getting the years wrong. Anyways, I watched the second iteration of this film. And that's why I knew kind of what I was walking into. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice that I could watch it in the comfort of my own home and actually see a really phenomenal film.
So I don't think we talked about it last time, but do you remember any of like the big differences between the 70s version and this movie?
I watched that. We were in history class at my 9th grade year at Muskegon, and our social studies teacher was like, you know what? I've had 5 months of PTO and vacation time, sick time built up. I'm just going to use it. Mm-hmm. So he decided he's going to take off a third of the year or a quarter of the 2/3 of the year. Sorry. So like we were trying to figure out how are we going to get educated. And one of the subs was like, or he might have came back for a week before he decided to do it. I can't remember what, but we just threw it on for no reason.
Yeah.
And no, there were scenes like the mustard gas scene. Some of the tragic deaths, I knew at the very end that he was gonna die. Mm. I mean, it was like because in the original one too, it was kind of the same thing happening last day of the war, and you're just watching it, and it's like, dude, this guy's got the black mark on him. Can't believe. I mean, all of his friends have died, and then he gets popped. So it was what, man, 17, 18 years ago. So not much. A couple things popped out, but it's better made.
Oh yeah,
obviously in the score alone in this thing.
Oh yeah, I oftentimes just have it playing in my head when I'm at work. Like,
No, you do a great job of talking about how industrial it is, and I'm sure that's like we talked about one of the themes they're going for with cogs in the machine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he fucking nailed it.
Yeah, I think it matches up really well.
Yeah.
I think we don't have much else to say about it that we haven't already said in our long discussion.
Yeah, I was about to say we had a good lengthy one on it, and I think the only difference, I mean, a little bit from my reading was the interpretation from the book to film, and it's a little bit about what you glean from it.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever the director gleaned from it, I think really stuck with us. So
yeah,
I
think so too. Okay, I guess I will pick the next one that we talk about.
Oh, hold on. What are we? You're not going to even give a ranking.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. Now that's how you mess up the format.
I'm sorry. I'm steamrolling over it like a tank over a soldier.
Like Colonel, what's his name over Elvis?
Yeah, Colonel Tom Parker.
Yeah,
Colonel Tom Hanks. Did you want to give your rating and ranking first?
Yeah, because I picked it, right? That's how we're doing it. What did I don't. This is I'm going to say this is an 8 out of 10. This could be a 9.
Okay.
It's very close. It's one of those two. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to look it up, but it's number 6 for me on my Oscar rankings.
Okay. Yeah, this is a 9 out of 10 for me.
That might be a 9 out of 10.
Might be joining me. This is number 3 on my ranking.
Wow. Number 3?
Yes. This is number 3.
Holy smokes.
Pick number 3, my lord.
Yeah. I noticed that you held the 2 fingers up too. So
thank you.
Have to.
I'm glad that you mentioned it for our listeners, so that way they know that I'm an authentic Shrek fan.
Yes, that's what the pause was for. I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw that. Well, you have to do it. If you don't do it, then you know, what the fuck are you?
Then you're not allowed at Shrek Fest.
No, well, or if I want you booted out.
You're right. Okay, so I guess I can pick the next movie we're talking about. I think I want to talk about Women Talking.
All right. So I'll break this one down.
Okay.
This was a film that I watched Tuesday night. We did it Tuesday. Jasmine had a coworker of hers that was doing the same thing we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she said that she had to watch it. So Jasmine said, we need to watch this, or do you have to see this? I said, yeah, I have to see it. So we got it off of Redbox.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it to you yesterday, but I rented it from Google Play, and then it became available on, I think, Amazon Prime the very next day. So I was really happy about that.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get a letter in the mail that you just open up. It says, fuck you.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Big middle finger.
Yeah.
Big Amish middle finger.
They do the outline on the glass with butt cheeks and the balls,
mm-hmm.
And then it just, have a great day below it.
Yeah.
So this Women Talking, directed by Sarah Polley, written and directed by Sarah Polley. How about that? Starring Rooney Mara as Ona, Claire Foy as, oh my God, I wish I could get these names. Salome.
Salami.
Jessica Buckley as Mary Shea, and Frances McDormand as Scarface Yates.
Yes, the iconic Frances McDormand. That is such a character in this movie, man.
I mean, just a tour de force.
Absolutely powerhouse of a performance.
Yes, one that I'm surprised she didn't get nominated for.
Oh, yeah.
The first one's do nothing, stay and fight, or leave. That is true. Those were the options that they had. This movie opens up with a girl kind of going through some narrative about where they're at in this community, and it really just opens up at night, and it just says, at night we're attacked by ghosts. Ghosts are the devil, come and get us. And that's what we believed for a long time until I saw one of the ghosts, right? And I saw him run back into the cornfield, and they find out that it's not ghosts. It's essentially these men in the community that are coming in at night and raping these women. And it falls under one of their old. They're protected by their code or from the Bible. Like, I'm not exactly sure how they some unwritten rule that says we can do this and we're allowed to do this as men. So they find the assailants. They bring him to jail. All the other men get involved because this guy names off names. Don't know what happened in his life after he did that. And it's essentially, like we said, do nothing, stay in, fight, or leave. It's the three choices that these women draw out, and they kind of get a matriarchy. I don't even think there's a matriarch. They get a little bit of a council going to discuss what they want to do. And that's essentially the film.
Yes, it is definitely women talking.
Yes.
That is for sure. The title doesn't lie in its premise.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can go first on my thoughts. Yeah, I thought it was well acted. I thought that
it's a good way to start. There we go.
I thought the atmosphere was compelling. I think they nailed the feel of like a sort of Amish kind of Little House on the Prairie religious type.
Not sure what they were, because Jasmine brought up Amish. I was like, I don't know what exactly. I don't want to say it's a cult, but obviously that they've been protected in this little area for a very long time.
Yeah. Very like cut off from the modern world, which you find out it's a part of the modern world when a guy in a truck drives by blaring music.
Census for the 2010 census.
Yes. Come on, step out so we can count you.
Yeah, and it's the Monkees. I'm a Believer, I think. They were playing something along those lines.
Something, yeah.
It's like 1960s or 1970s
something
pop
kind of
culture-y.
Very poppy, very like happy.
Yes.
Which is a good dichotomy for the tone of the movie, I think.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't know, this movie, I wanted to like it more, but after a while, it just sort of became a little bit repetitive for me. And normally I enjoy movies where they're very dialogue heavy, they're very character driven, and they're very focused on a discussion that's set in one location. Like there's a movie that's very similar to this, just in premise, called Mass, where it's literally just four people in a room talking to each other, discussing a really heavy subject matter, much like this one. But I don't know, to me, the dialogue and the characters weren't as compelling for me to really get into it. And so after a while, it felt really samey. Like, I don't know, it didn't feel like they were talking about the subject in a way that was bringing forth new ways of thinking about the movie or the characters for me, at least for the most part. Like, there's some scenes that I think they do that. Like,
I'd agree. I mean, so I'm not gonna go. To me, it was very compelling. This is a movie to me where it's interesting that they pick this religious community that obviously isn't well versed in the ways of the world, right? And they've been ingrained with this rich tradition that these men can do whatever they want. And they start to ask these very profound philosophical questions, which, I mean, I kind of joke about now, where, like, it's not in regards to this, but it's really funny that they like, to me, sometimes with philosophy, I mean, you really have to get to the rudimentary aspect of a theory or a thought or an idea to really break down what exactly it is you're talking about. And I thought that this was a good depiction of what it's being a lady today and what you have to go through today and how we've gotten to this point. So they use religion and the fact that these gals are from look like they're from the 1800s, but you're dealing with the 2010 environment, right? So it's essentially saying, I mean, these women are still being held back today at this stage in life, and how did we get to this point? And they look at that at a very, like I said, I mean, philosophical standpoint of how do we get here? And they ask questions mostly about how do we let this go on? How do we not know about it? What's there to do? Can we change this? And are we the victims? Could we have done things differently? And you get a sense of what it's like to hold power and the decisions that you get to make and how they can have ripple effects throughout time with what's going on. So I thought it was interesting. I never really got bored with it. Now, I will agree with you that a lot of it is repetitive, just in different aspects or perspective, kind of new ideas formulate around the same topic, which can become redundant, I feel like, at times. without the character growth, I mean, it's not there's this. It's like character driven, but not character driven. If that makes sense.
No, I totally get what you mean, and I do like the fact that, like you said earlier, it kind of it's a topic that they discuss that can be applicable in a modern lens, even though it's set. I guess technically the time period is modern too, but it's in a community that's basically held back in time. Like they might as well be living in the 1600s.
They have horse and wagon. Like they're talking about getting their buggies to go to like, Norman, Nebraska or whatever.
Like it's a very stylistically made movie in the sense that they choose the backdrop of this religious community, and I enjoy that part of it.
I think it's like the basis of where they in applying it to modern terms, this is the basis of where it started.
Right.
Kind
of going to the origins of men's thinking in that way.
Yes.
So I do like that it went for that, and I like some of the stuff they did, but I don't know. I wish that the dialogue, I don't know, because to me it felt very like one note, felt very like kind of baseline, like for a while it just felt like they were talking about the same things in a well acted and mostly well written way, I would say. But I don't know. To me, it didn't feel super compelling to me in order to keep me invested in what was happening. I will say, though, I think Jessie Buckley is the best part of the movie. I really like her character, and I like her performance in it. And like I said yesterday, I could be biased because I really like her and I'm thinking of ending things. But I really do think she stands out. I think she's very emotionally driven. Not that the other characters aren't. Maybe with the exception of Rooney Mara, she's pretty much the same attitude the entire time. But I don't know. I really like what she brought to it. And whenever she started speaking, it always felt like she had something interesting to say or add and brought a level of, I don't know, intrigue into the movie for me. Like, I don't want to start using fancy English words here, but I don't know. That's just kind of how I felt with it. Yeah. Like, I would have liked more of her. Like, I would not have complained if we got more of Jessie Buckley in this movie.
See, yeah. I was more probably Rooney Mara.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, to me, it was an interesting topic. That you have three choices to make, and you got to understand too, if you hadn't seen it or you're gonna check. I mean, the leaving one seemed the most daring, and that's, you kind of get into. I mean, this is it's fight or flight. Survival's gonna kick in. Yeah, you're gonna go somewhere that you've never been, and you're gonna have to adapt to the ways of the world and things that you probably don't know about, or that's gonna take a long time to change and conform to or adapt to. But no, I mean, like all of them. Like I said, I mean, they played a singular note on their emotions and what they were doing, and at some point they all made change with what happened or the acceptance of what was going to happen. So none of the characters really stood out for me. Like Rooney Mara, I thought I liked her the most because I thought she had the best perspective on what was going on and was actually challenging everyone else to think about the choices that they were going to make, because she never pivoted or stayed on like, we're going to leave. And she never said we are the victims. I mean, if she goes, essentially, if we allow this, how can we play the victim card if we never bat an eyelash to what's going on? Yeah. And I thought she always played both sides of the aisle to make everyone else kind of challenge their thoughts on what was going on. So Jessica Buckley was good. Claire Salome, I don't know. I'm sorry. I mean, these names are super Yiddish.
Yeah. They were very like they're unique. Yeah, let's just say unique.
Naip.
Yeah, Frances McDormand though stand out even more so than Jessie Buckley.
So,
I will say,
if you've seen the film, maybe you had the same thoughts we did.
So the way they talked about her,
by the way,
she's fourth billed, and the way they talked about her at the Oscars, if you hadn't seen this movie before, you'd think she's the main character.
Yeah, she was the face of everything.
Like her face was more prevalent on the promotion of whenever they talked about it at the Oscars than any other actor in the movie, and she's in the film for maybe 4 minutes. Maybe 4 minutes.
She didn't even stay on the council.
Like she barely says a thing.
They drew up the. So I don't know the problem I had is I don't think I turned the subtitles on until like probably 15 minutes in. I was like, I really need to see, like they're going pretty quick, and these are really profound thoughts here. Like it's not like, how do we ever know what we were if we never knew what was and what we were doing?
And that's another thing too I had with it, is that it felt very like almost too quick pace in the discussion of it. Like it didn't feel like there was much breathing room.
You can and you can't. That's why I enjoyed it, because those are those types of conversations. Like when you get with your friends and you guys, like in high school, if you started breaking things down, when you just start getting into kind of abstract thoughts, that's how they go. Like it's just kind of stream of consciousness. You're just rolling, and then you process after the fact. You know.
But after a certain point, to me, it just felt like actors in a room waiting to say their line instead of characters in a room actually discussing something weighty and heavy implication. But
I felt it though. I really felt it the whole time. So I get that's like, I think that's a little bit of the difference too with the takeaway, because this film isn't like the Fabelmans where like you can go like, oh, this is really fun. Like like if you're watching this thing and you kind of get off on like, all right, like where are we going?
This is a gay old time.
You're gonna fall off the horse and buggy. I didn't. I always was curious as to where they were going, and then there would just be like these small wrinkles that came in. Like they had to figure this out in a day of what they were doing. And this thing has like major implications about what they've never stood up against the men. They've never left the town, and they've done nothing their whole time there. So like all three are laid out, and the only one that is the easiest choice of it all is to do nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what they're fighting for. And you have all these different people in here that are weighing in on what you should do, or what you can do, or what we've always done. And and then all of a sudden, like Jessica Buckley's husband's coming back because he's gonna get a horse or something like that. Like it's just one guy's coming back, and it's gonna ruin the fucking town. And all of a sudden it's a race against time, and like you're really breaking down some heavy notions or heavy thoughts or ideas about what to do. And you have now all of a sudden it went from we have a day to now we have 4 hours, and we got to mobilize this whole place. And who's safe? Who can we bring? Who's gonna carry on these traditions that we need to break? This is like domesticating a dog almost. Like you don't just do it in 2 bloodlines. Like this takes generations to flesh out.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very thought provoking.
Yes.
So, but I do that's why I wouldn't go to bat against anyone on this film to tell you why you're wrong, or like this is one of the easiest ones to be like, if you don't like this, or I shouldn't say like it, but if you don't get on board with what's being talked about, and like you're ready for it to kind of take that next step, like you'll just fall off of the horse and buggy quick.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, I wish it was a little more compelling for me to get into. Like I really wanted to enjoy this movie more than I did, and that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. Like I overall liked it. I liked August, the actor who played him. I thought he was good. I thought he was a nice fit.
Yes, he was. That's why I wanted to be careful, but he was probably my favorite part.
My favorite part is the guy.
Let's go, guys that are dudes. Let's go, August.
My favorite part of women talking was the man.
Yeah. Women talking, men listening. Let's go, bro.
That's funny that you say that, because that was one of the top Letterboxd reviews for this movie. Was women talking, and then he said, "And I'm listening."
Yeah.
So that's funny that you say that. What did you think of the music too? I really wasn't.
It was alright.
I wasn't feeling it. It was
okay.
That I don't think helped with me feeling that this movie was repetitive, because that music was very repetitive to me.
Well, I don't want to get, because I kind of felt that way with the Banshees too. But like I agree, it didn't really, dude. There's nothing you can do of service to this film. Like I'm trying to, either you're on board with it or you're not. Because if you're not, there are a lot of things that probably stick out that it's like, great, just small things. The town, like why does it have to be set in this time? Why does it got to be a religious cult? I know they're trying to say something like, couldn't we pick like a different setting for this? Some of that compelling nature to it. And the music was really dour, drab, like kind of
bland,
depressing, like this. Bland. Like it's a.
I mean, like at first it matched the tone well, and I was like, okay, I kind of like where this is going. And then it just did the same thing for the entire movie with like no real variation when it came to changes in the plot or the characters or the situation.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I wish it would have at least elevated a little bit.
Nothing really uplifting.
No. Not even just that. Just, I don't know. It just felt very samey to me, but...
I agree. I mean, like it's like you said. I mean, it's just a discussion about a choice that you have to make, and it's 2 hours of that. So I'm not. Yeah, I could see a lot of people that would. We were talking about it Sunday when I was with my parents, and Sam came by, and we were just kind of going over about and I was like, I can't recommend this film to anyone. You know, I think it's really good, but like, I don't want to be the guy that, you know, you got into it and was like, I get it, but dude, like, man.
Yeah, I've been there before.
You know, like, I'm not going to be that guy. It's like, it sits well with me, but, you know.
Yeah, not for everybody. God forbid I recommend funny games to someone.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, right? Dude, check out Requiem.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I ruined that guy's day.
It's like I'm the villain in this here story.
Yeah. So no, the music was all right. The color schemes. I mean, dude, this movie's bland as bland, but the subject matter is so heavy. I don't know if they made it that way so you could focus on that and didn't really get lost in anything else.
Like I said, I like the tone, but I don't know. I wish the dialogue pulled me in more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not that it didn't at times, because at times I thought it was really good, and then at other times it just, I don't know, it was starting to lose my interest a little bit.
So I'm saying, I mean, yeah, but it's without a doubt, it's bound to happen.
Yeah. Did you want to wrap up with this one?
Sure.
Okay. I think I can go first on this. So this is a 6 out of 10 for me. Wow. And this placed at number 8 on my ranking. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but overall I enjoyed it. So,
yeah.
And maybe if I ever check it out again, I can try to look for things in it that I maybe necessarily wasn't as receptive to the first time, you know?
Yeah. Dude, it's very hard. It's like Stalker. Like, I was just saying that thought in my head. It's like, I probably won't view Stalker again. Like, it sits where it sits at with me. It's very thought-provoking.
I love
like,
Stalker.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just, some movies like that are it's hard to, you know.
Everyone's different.
Yeah. Well, I'm not too far off you. Now, this is an 8 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
I did like a lot of what they talked about, and I thought it was very interesting to think about in terms of a basis of the inception of woman and man, and, you know, I mean, just where we've gotten to and how we've gotten there, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting and an interesting take, especially with the backdrop. This is 7th on my list, though.
Okay.
So, you know, I thought there are 6 better films to me out there than this, but I know
you said it was close.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think at one point I had this at 5, and I was like, and then I started thinking about like rewatchability.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to watch the Fabelmans than this one again. But in terms of impact on my thoughts, like, this 10 times greater than the Fabelmans.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of.
I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You want to pick the next one?
Yeah. So let's do. We're gonna save that for the end. All right. Let's do another easy one. Top Gun Maverick.
Okay. Did you get women talking?
I did.
Okay.
I think we're on that path of, like, if I say it, then you look it up. You say it, I look it up.
Yeah, we are. We are definitely on that path.
Yeah.
So let me get this.
The path of the righteous and bold.
Yeah. Let me. You type top in Wikipedia, and this almost first option is Top Gun Maverick. So yeah, we talked about this, much like All Quiet, in a longer discussion on one of our episodes. Did we? We didn't have Sam on for that one. That was War of the Worlds. So I think we talked about having seen it with him, but
yeah.
So this one is directed by Joseph Kosinski and is the sequel to the first Top Gun that came out in the 80s.
Yep.
And that was directed by Tony Scott. We see Tom Cruise returning as Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell, who, after the events of the first movie, has sort of settled into a position of basically flying these new types of jets and sort of testing their limits.
Yeah.
And then he is called by Iceman, played by Val Kilmer, to get a team together in order to combat this terrorist threat that they've come across, where they have to fly in, destroy this what is it, like a satellite that's buried underground?
It's Star Wars: A New Hope meets
meets Top Gun.
Not pissing off anyone from the Middle East.
Yeah, right. They might be Russians, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, they never really faceless enemy.
Yes.
As I like to, just a giant metaphor.
Very much so. And and he has to get a team together. Meanwhile, the son of his partner, who spoilers for the first Top Gun, paid his due.
Yes.
Who's played by Miles Teller, comes back in this film, and there's sort of a rocky relationship between the two.
Yes.
And so there's almost like sort of a father-son kind of dynamic going on there. And
Uncle Tom. Not quite uncle. Like a distance like a good family friend.
Yeah. Maybe one that you don't think is good at first, but then, maybe things change.
Yeah.
They have to learn to work together. All the while we get to see them fly around in jets and practice and get ready for this mission. So
yeah.
This is a movie that I think a lot of people expected it to not do well because, one, it took a long time to make, and two, it's a long-awaited sequel to a classic movie that came out in the 80s.
Yes.
And usually when you have that type of thing, there's a few exceptions, but usually when you have that type of thing, people don't have much faith in it succeeding.
Yes.
And this is, I think, one of the highest-grossing movies now ever. It was very critically well-received.
Obviously. I mean, it got, 3-4 Best Picture nom.
Got Best Picture nom. It won Best Sound Editing.
Yeah.
And
just sound. Best sound.
Oh, yeah. They combined the two categories, which we didn't touch on earlier.
It's too complicated to explain to anyone else, so they just call it sounds.
That's just Best Sound.
I really wish they had the S in there.
Just multiple sounds.
Well, no, for the pluralness of mixing and editing, and it just says Best Sounds.
Still have them separate, but just one sound, the other sounds.
Yeah, well, no, just they're together now. It's combined, so that's where you get the plural from. But it sounds so stupid if you tell someone like Best Sounds that a movie made.
Yeah.
Like, say that sentence.
I made the sounds for this movie. You did what?
Sound mixing and editing.
Yeah.
The sounds.
All right. Well, we have to go back to rollerblading, so let's go.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this movie, it's well made. It's very, I think, visually nice to look at.
Oh, 100%.
And maybe should have won Best Visual Effects. We'll get into that later. But no, I mean, it's just a solid kind of blockbuster movie that I think it really kind of like sets the bar for that type of thing,
Yeah.
Like, it's very satisfying. It's got a very satisfying ending, good character resolutions, and it's very consistently well made, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't think that you never get into the editing or, like we said, the sound mixing, or I mean, even like the script dialogue. It's very consistent, and it's a very easy plot, right?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't anything too complicated.
No.
I mean, really, where it makes the money at is being in the fighter jet and feeling like you're flying an aircraft with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and I think this movie, I've liked how it's been described by a few people as this is the movie that Top Gun wanted to be when it first came out.
I think so. If you ask a 20-some-year-old, they will say that. But I think Top Gun was Top Gun when Top Gun came out. Like, I think that had the same effect in the 80s that this movie did to us in 2020.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would agree with that statement, but I'm also like, I wasn't even born yet. So Top Gun, like, I'm not going to sit here and bash this. Like, we've been, like, they even went through the visual aspect of making this thing, and you notice that they were, like, the terrain that they were inputting and the graphics and all that, and Tom Cruise might have just been on, like, a crane, and they were swooping him around. But, like, we feel, so it's like where we're at now with how, I mean, just blessed we are with technology that we get to experience these things. But
yeah.
So I would agree, but I would also say, like, if they had this back then, like, I feel like this movie would have been made like this in 1980 if they could.
Right. I just think too it does and also like you said, it might be a product of it being a movie that came out in the 80s, but I think this movie does a better job in building tension and kind of maintaining the stakes of the film throughout the entire thing. You get a good sense of the mission before it starts and what they have to lead up to and the goals that they have to meet. And I think that's really well done. I like his relationship with Miles Teller. There's some cheesy moments of dialogue, and maybe that's consistent with the first one in a way. Yeah. Maybe a callback, but still I can't help but feel it's a little too like
I don't want to offend you, but is Jennifer Connelly really needed in this scene?
like there's some stuff that's like super cliche, and John Hamm going, "You weren't my first pick for this. You weren't even my second.
Yeah.
Or my third." It's that type of stuff that I can't help but like roll my eyes at. But
the machismo behind it, I mean, that's kind of when you're talking to meatheads, like I think that's where that's what they like to see. Mm-hmm. Obviously you're defying the odds, and we're picking the asshole guy of the group that no one believes in or thinks can do it. He's only here because of his talent, and then he, fucking does it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're playing into. Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, it's kind of like, all right, like, why can't Val Kilmer just hold rank and then John Hamm like whisper it into this ear like, you're a fucking failure, and like walk off? Besides having to do the whole thing,
right? Yeah. I got a message from Iceman. Yeah.
He said to go sit on one.
Yeah. He told you to go kick sand, man. To go punch dirt.
Yeah. So to say, you gotta be careful with the nameless enemy, though.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. This movie, there's not much else to say that we haven't already said about it. It's enjoyable. It's satisfying. Tom Cruise is good as the lead man. He's good at playing like charismatic lead guy in movie. So I think it's right in his wheelhouse.
Was that your AI answer to?
I just put I just put it in Chat GPT, baby, and I just let it spit out of my mouth.
Yeah,
I memorized it before you came over. But I mean, yeah, like I said, it's a good, solid movie. Not my favorite, but I mean, I think it's worthy of being nominated for a lot of the technical stuff, if not, best picture.
Yeah,
at least compared to The Way of the Whopper, But I don't know. Was there anything else you wanted to say about this?
No. This is just an easy movie to talk I mean, I think a lot of people that probably don't like it, I would say, are probably super hipstery, super counterculture,
Right.
I'm not. It's just I'm trying to think of like who, either that or maybe a feminist.
Maybe I feel like some people just might not like this because they have expectations of it being like super different. Like I want Tom Cruise to like bite the neck off of like some Russian guy and have him show it.
Oh, maybe the most nationalist people that you could find that really wanted to take down Russia. Or I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, it's solid. Like I said, it's really solid, and I think that's a good description of this
100%,
movie.
100%.
Mm-hmm. So, should we get into ratings and ranking?
Yeah.
I think, do you go first for this one?
I picked it, right? So, how do we do Women Talking? You picked Women Talking and you went first?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got this.
We're still confused on our own system.
We got it. We're good. We're good. Don't worry about it.
We got the Tom smoothies on the table. Yeah. We're fine.
If you ever start feeling that heartburn kicking in and the anxiety creeping up, just pop a Tums.
We're not sponsored.
Not yet. Tums in the Phoenix Theater coming.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Those are the two big ones that we have to get.
Yeah. You better get ready, Mr. Tums.
We're basically begging.
I think this is a 9 out of 10 for me. I don't think this hit the 10 out of 10 spot. I very solid 9 out of 10, and this is number 2 on the list.
Okay.
Yeah, number 2. I mean, in terms of memorable rewatchability, fun, excitement, just being able to pop it on whatever I want. This is a great movie. If it's like 1 a.m. Saturday night, not ready for bed, I could throw this on and probably watch the whole thing and probably take away more, create my own abstract thoughts, ideas about like what's actually going on in the film or why characters are making certain decisions. So
sweet.
Yeah.
Number 2 for Top Gun 2. So this is an 8 out of 10 for me. pretty solid.
That's a good range.
I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was honestly surprised at how much I liked it when I watched it in theaters. And
same.
I really liked the chemistry of the characters. I thought it was stronger than the first one considerably in a lot of areas. And yeah, this is at number 6 for me.
That was actually the guess I had.
Nice.
Yeah. I was going to say, if this got into 9 range, like 9 or 10.
Oh, boy.
But I'm really nervous about it because I don't think we've hit the 9 or 10 for you yet.
Nope. Not yet.
I know one of them.
Yes, you do.
Because I think we're both on the same page with one of them.
Oh, I think so. So I guess I will pick the next one.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Tar.
Yeah. Let's talk about Tar.
We haven't talked about Tar, and I don't really know your thoughts. You don't really know my thoughts on it that much. We kind of do a little bit because
a little bit. We tried to
a little bit yesterday.
Well, we didn't tickle the ideas. We knew that we were going to record today, so we tried to stay away from some of the thoughts we had about what we wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
So Tar, boy, a lot of written and directed by, huh?
Yeah.
Written and directed by Todd Field. This movie is starring Cate Blanchett as the infamous Lydia Tar, Naomi Merlant as Francesca Mantini, Nina Hoss as Sharon Goodnow, and Sophie Crower as Olga, the cello player.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's just about Lydia Tar. The famous Lydia Tar.
Yes.
The world-renowned Lydia Tar, who decides to take on the 16th century German symphony, Gustav Mahler's Symphony No. 5.
Yes.
Right? And so all it is the movie starts out with Lydia doing a interview, right?
Yes.
Now I don't know if it's on TV. It's probably more for like music snobs that paid, a grand.
It's definitely on stage in front of an audience.
Yeah, I had like a very Steve Jobs vibe from her. And she is one of the few living composers that takes the whole production into effect in terms of her staple on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes through that. So it's a very nice little exposition into who she is and what's going on and where we're going. Then essentially, it just takes off with figuring out more about her and who she is and who she's running away from.
Yeah.
So, Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really loved this movie.
Yeah.
I think...
Boy, that's a hard L word.
Oh, it is a hard L word. L is for lesbian.
Which she is.
Yes, which she is. So I'm not being facetious. No, I really enjoyed this movie as like a good character study. Like I feel like
100%.
I feel like Cate Blanchett knocks it out of the park. I would have liked to see her win Best Actress in a Leading Role.
Tough year, man.
But tough competition.
Man.
I'm not sad that Michelle Yeoh won it, but it would have been nice to see Tar and Cate Blanchett win for at least this one,
something.
To get something.
I agree.
Because I think there's so much that goes into this movie. It feels so meticulously made. Like it's shot super well. It's super clean looking. It's very purposeful.
It's very much of her personality and who she is.
Yes, which is very always in control. Always like very egotistical.
Yes.
She's always reading stuff about herself. She's very concerned about the public perception of herself.
Yes.
Which you get a very good sense of that from the beginning and what kind of character she is. So you kind of get a sense of like maybe where the movie's going, but it's a very slow, meticulous process that they use to get there. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't feel like she all of a sudden falls off a cliff. It very much feels like she's rolling down a hill and can't get back up.
It's funny because like I didn't even feel that until Olga got introduced. Mm-hmm. Like that's when I was like, oh no, this is like she's starting to go down. It's like when the character's like running downhill, but they still have their balance, and at some point they're going head over heel, and it's just like that. They're not going to stop.
Yeah.
That's like what I felt. I was like, oh man, she just turned over the mountainside. It's like I got too much gravity going, or too much force going forward. Mm.
Yeah, and you get a good sense of that with really good setups at the beginning of the movie with the oh God, I had it in my head, but where was it? With her interaction with her daughter in terms of like dealing with her bully, and then her confronting the bully herself, basically intimidating her as an adult. And basically just using that like scare tactic on a child. And then also that confrontation she has with the student that she's teaching that class with,
Right.
Like that was that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, I would say, because it sort of sets up so much that happens later in the film, and
100%.
like just adds to the domino effect of what happens later.
You understand sort of her rationale and what she's doing and why she chooses to do the things that she does.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely,
she definitely she almost feels too out of this, like she's too smart for her own good, but she also she isn't connected enough to what's going on in the modern world. It's a very, she was inspired by a lot of these older composers and what they did and a lot of their theories and thoughts on how you should do things, and she takes after them. So she's living very like this. Egotistically, she's living in like the 1800s, right?
Yeah. Like she's very sure of herself. She doesn't really think about the implications of her actions in a lot of ways and how it could lead back to her.
So she is aware of the media and what's going on and how she could be portrayed, but she also doesn't understand like her actions ultimately get her to those spots.
Exactly.
She thinks it's more of being caught in doing something as opposed to her choices that she's making leading her to that spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She doesn't really think about the consequences and what that means. She's very much only wrapped up in the now and the current world that she lives in. She reads newspapers about her. She like is constantly reading up about herself online. She's very much just concerned about the public perception of her. And so when that comes later to bite her in the ass in the movie, I don't know, it just feels very satisfying. And I just like how that is really like, it's just such a common through line throughout the movie. Like, I don't know, it's very consistently good.
It is. I was going to say, so I need to watch this movie again because the whole time I thought she was a real person.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday.
Like, you have to understand the whole time I am in my head trying to figure out what's going on. Have I heard about her? Like, a lot of it is based on the fact that I think Cate Blanchett is representing someone as opposed to this being like an original screenplay and her just being a character. Mm-hmm. So like I'm thinking that, all right, so if you had to think about it, if we were doing a biopic and we were following Lydia Tarr, her actions are already predetermined. Mm-hmm. It's not choices that she's making in this film. So the route that she's going down has already been set forth. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if you view this as an original character, you really don't know. Only thing that's leading you up to what's going on is, like, what you've seen out of her before with just the little bit we know about her. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I thought all of this was getting to a point, and I didn't soak in all of how we got to that point. Because I was like, oh, this is our... So I was like, I can't wait to look up who Lydia Tarr was and what happened to her after this.
Uh-huh.
And then there's nothing.
And then, yeah, you realize, oh, this is a fictional fictional movie.
Lydia Tarr's not a real person. 20 minutes of a film I actually like, too, that I could have gotten more out of had I not thought about it in that lens.
Yeah. I think it tells a lot about a movie that is able to take a character whose whole world is being a composer, a subject that I have no interest in whatsoever. Like, I have a super surface level knowledge of music in general.
And not even that.
It still makes it interesting because the way they frame it and the way she plays the character. And there's just something about a good story that has to do with a character that's slowly unraveling and kind of losing a sense of who they are, that I'm really a fan of. I think that's partially why I like There Will Be Blood so much, is because it's a very similar kind of film to me.
Niche areas to watch someone unfold, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, it is very similar. The character unraveling, and I agree, it is a character study, and it is definitely a character unraveling. It just felt a little bit more... Like in that one, and There Will Be Blood, it's definitely... I'm trying to think of a good analogy You know, like, I mean, it's like a ball of yarn as soon as you hit the one knot and just watch it go, like, it's out the gate. This one felt like almost like untying a shoelace, just slowly pulling it, and then you get the boop.
Yeah.
And then it's just done.
And then it's just done.
So I a lot of her choices, I mean, and it never felt like she was straying away. So that's, I guess, where we're different, because I never felt like it was straying away from who she was. It just kind of, because the best part about this thing is they bring up that email with that girl and what she did, and you know that she didn't delete it, and then she fires her, and you know it's coming back. So it's just about her maybe having that weight and wondering when's it going to pop up.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of, but it's so subtle in a lot of what's going on with her actions.
Yeah.
Until it gets to a point where it's not. Like that last scene when she goes out there was nuts.
Yeah. A lot of it, it's just her constantly, like you said, her character doesn't really change. It's just the outcomes of what happens does, because she's still so concerned about herself. She has such a big ego still towards the end of the movie that she still feels like she has the right to go out there and interrupt the composer who filled in for her and knock him on his ass off stage and say, this is my composition. I'm the one who's going to be leading this, not you. And it's so well made. Like, I don't know. I really, really like this movie.
I did too. I thought it was phenomenal. I mean, I was watching it. One of the things I wrote down was superfluous. A lot of the dialogue I felt was built in or created to give her a little bit of the, not misunderstanding,
but a little bit of humanity, maybe.
Yeah, like. I know some people like this where they are well educated and they are well beyond their means, and a lot of what they talk about or find pleasure in or considered to be thought provoking is very niche, zany thoughts or ideas, right? Like, you're talking micro communities within a certain government that is, been indoctrinated. Like, their voting system is, they do it every 42 years because of on the third move, like something like that. And then you kind of dive into a little bit of like that history, that thought process, right? To the common folk, who the fuck cares what you're talking about? Like, relate to us. Yeah. Right? And that's where I thought they did a great job with her dialogue, is that she is totally unrelatable to us. We will never be in her shoes, and we will never understand the brilliance or her genius. But at the same token, everyone can recognize when she starts fucking up. And then that's where that thin veil comes through, and it's like, oh man, like she's doing this just to have a put on.
Yeah.
She's protecting her image and herself from, and that's why all the dialogue's like this, and it's all up in the air, and all of it, it's so I can't even think of the word, bougie.
Yeah, she wants to come across as thought provoking. She wants to come across as someone who is deeply knowledgeable about this subject and just in general. But when like you said, when you peel back the veil, there's not really much there in terms of humanity, heart, character.
Right.
Like, there's not much that's relatable, like you said.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Which I like. And I thought Todd Field, I think he wrote it in that way and had her character portrayed that way because she's so far above us. But at the same token, I mean, like, where does she end up?
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
I
was dying laughing at the ending.
With the Monster Hunter?
Yeah.
I did not expect that to be a part of the movie.
Dude, I was watching with Jasmine, and she's like, what? She's like, she's performing again? I was like, no. I was like, she gave that guy all that shit about, you're not going to do Bach. You're not going to do Mozart. You'll never understand who they are. You can never compose. You'll never, And then she gets to that last scene, and it's her stooping to her lowest point, doing the themes or the sound, the score for a Monster Hunter showing.
Yeah.
Completely 180 on everything that she stood up for, believed in, and now you just see that's it. She's still a person, and she's still got to struggle to, to keep her image.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, really good movie. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, it's not an easy. I mean, this is another one that's not exactly easy to talk about. I mean, it's a little bit, if we wanted to do more of a character dive into who she was, I mean, it actually, I think this is definitely a movie that we could probably talk about an hour for.
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind having like a more full discussion down the road.
I would do a nice little rewatch and a different lens.
Yeah.
But
me too.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay. This is a 9 out of 10 for me.
Wow.
Yeah, really enjoyed this movie. It's at number 4 for me.
Nice.
Yep, right behind All Quiet. So
Right behind. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. This is an 8 out of 10.
nice.
I did it right after I got done watching it. I knew it was an 8 out of 10 right away. I think you're more involved with the characters, and I think their motivations and actions tied into how they are written, I think really speaks to you. And I thought this was really well done. I need a little bit more of the funness, though. But in terms of a movie like this, I thought it was really well done. I have it at number 5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
Not
8 out
too
of
far
10.
off.
No, not at all. I mean, this was at 4 for a little bit.
Okay.
Like I said, the top 3 are the top 3, but I mean, So yeah.
Okay.
My turn, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What is on
We're
the
kind
docket?
of getting down. All right, let's do. I don't mind knocking out the ones that we've already talked about. Just saying those out loud.
Yeah.
Let's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay. So I got this one since. Did you get Tar?
I did.
Okay.
Written and directed by Todd Field. I've had 3 now of written and directed.
So Everything Everywhere All at Once is a comedy drama absurdist film directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, also written by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, so I got one too. Stars Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn Kwan, who works as a laundry lady in a laundromat, and she runs it with her husband, Waymond Wang, and their daughter, Joy. And they're sort of a struggling family unit who has a hard time relating with each other. They have a hard time understanding each other. A lot of it stems from Evelyn not being able to really let people in and do the things that they want to do, live the lives they want to live. And so they have to go get their taxes sorted out. And from there, Waymond reveals himself to be an agent of the multiverse, who's channeling from another universe that's nearby. And from there, Evelyn discovers that she has to unlock all the abilities in order to fight Jobu Tabaki, who is a villainous figure coming after her.
Yes.
Who is also a multiverse jumper. So
Yes.
there you have it. Yeah. This one swept the Oscars, won 7 awards.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did it really?
Yep. Won 7 different categories. Supporting actor, lead actress, best original script, director, best picture.
They get costume design, cinematography.
They got costume design.
Did they?
No, Black Panther got costume design.
Yes.
I can't think of what. Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah.
Or did I? No, Jamie Lee Curtis.
No, that's.
Yep. So that's 6, and then I can't think of the other one. Did we say directing?
Yep.
Okay.
It's all right.
Yeah.
We got 6 out of 7 is pretty good.
We're passing grade,
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. To me, this is one of the best movies that came out last year, and I think the awards definitely represent that. Yeah, just really well written, really well acted. The fight choreography is really good, which I don't think is something we maybe talked about last time. But
I think we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
It's been so long, I don't really remember. Yeah, no, this is I'm glad it won the awards that it did.
When we recorded this, I think we got it right after it came out. We were kind of early to jump on it. It was one of the reviews that we gave where we talked about, I think, 45 minutes on it. Had nothing bad to say, and it was like, wow. Sometimes those aren't the sexiest reviews to do, but it's a testament to how good that film is.
Yeah. It's hard to say something about this movie that hasn't already been said extensively already.
It just won Best Picture, and everyone's talking about it. So, I mean,
I think really because I watched this again 2 days ago.
Yes.
Yesterday with Megan, and right before I came over to your apartment. And it makes me want to rewatch Swiss Army Man with Daniel...
Radcliffe.
I was going to say Daniel Craig, but that's not right. Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano, and makes me want to revisit that with a new lens of having seen Everything Everywhere All at Once 2 times now. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be like a future recommendation. We can get Gideon on or something to talk about it because I know he loves that movie.
Yeah. I'm very curious about their work now too. This is the second film they've directed.
Yes, and then I know Daniel Scheinert directed one by himself called The Death of Dick Long, which is also an A24 movie.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So
I almost recommended that one time.
Really?
We talked about it for a second, and then we passed on it because it was maybe we just got done with 2 indie films.
Gotcha.
So, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, no, I might check that out just, to get a feel for their style, see how it compares, solo versus a team sort of thing, you know. But yeah, I don't know, was there anything you wanted to
No, this is like if you guys if you're curious about it, now you're upset that we haven't talked about it. We have an episode out before this. So go find that because you actually get a lot of what we have to say. I mean, this thing's been beaten to a pulp with kindness and positivity that there's nothing bad I have to say about it. And we saw it, I mean, a decent amount of time ago. This came out in like April, March of last year.
Other than yesterday, yeah, it was a while ago.
Like I have this has been one that I kind of want to revisit too, just because I haven't seen it. It's just like, sometimes I have a problem with movies that don't have any faults. Not to say that I couldn't find one in this, but like genuinely, this is an easy up and down film to watch without walking away. This is to me, this is kind of like Top Gun.
Yeah.
A very easy, now totally different tones and what's happening. And I think this one's more to some extent more remarkable in terms of what they're showing us as audience members and getting us to actually like
very unique, very zany,
yes,
very wacky,
100%. And for us to buy into this, I mean, it's a pretty big leap of faith that you have to have when you watch it. And I think that's why everyone's like this, because everyone's taking it, and you fall into a pool of ice cream.
Yeah,
fall
into a pool of butt plug trophies.
Yeah, there was
a good amount of those.
Chekhov gun.
Chekhov's butt plug. Yeah, we can just wrap this up since we have 100%. A few others to touch on, and we're kind of getting close to that time.
Yes, and that's why we're naming off that. So do I go first?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. I think this is a 9 out of 10. I don't remember. It could be a 10 out of 10. I'm not gonna. If it's 9, it's a high 9. Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
And it is number 4.
Number 4. Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you with the score. 9 out of 10 for me. Very solid. I feel the same way about it that I did the first time I watched it. I think it's of the same quality. I didn't look at your list. Don't worry. And yeah, this is at number 2 for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's well deserving of that spot, if I say so.
I think so too. I'd agree. It's hard for me to be like, yeah, you're gonna. Yeah.
So, since we're getting the other ones out of the way, do we want to do Avatar next?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's just get that one done.
Yeah.
Let's just get that one done.
You want to say? You want to give a little summation?
Yeah, I suppose.
Sure, I guess.
Avatar, Way of the Water.
The Way of the Whopper.
Yeah, that's how. I'm not going to hop onto that one yet because I just don't. This is such a fucking nothing movie to me that I want nothing to do with any sort of memorability behind it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, I really can't wait for 6 years to be like, I think I saw that.
I think I remember what happens maybe.
Yeah. So this is directed by James Cameron, all right? Obviously in his glorified
the
CGI.
Best director of all time?
All time. That didn't even go to his movie's up for and he can't go to the thing.
He was too busy stapling phones to the wall, my man. Getting that nail gun.
Oh, my God. Another written and directed. Sam Worthington plays Jake Sully. Zoe Saldana plays Neytiri. Sigourney Weaver plays the 13-year-old girl Kiri that no one saw coming. Stephen Lang plays... I don't know. How did that... Quaritch?
I think so. Quaritch. Miles Quaritch.
Kate Winslet is also in this and plays Ronald. And Cliff Curtis plays Tonawari. That's about it. So essentially what it is you got... I'm not going to say that person. If you've seen the original one, Jake Sully becomes an avatar, marries Neytiri. They have kids. and you know the evil space people come back. They start mining. They create these things that can erect skyscrapers in matter of hours.
You said erect.
Yeah. So
I didn't mean to derail you.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I was gonna do my pool joke, but anyways, so you got that going on, and the sky people come back, and essentially they bring back even more gunpowder, and they force Jake's got to leave the Na'vi, right?
The forest Na'vi.
The forest Na'vi, because they'll continue to be hunted, and he doesn't want to put them into a bad spot. So he
decides to go somewhere else and put those new people in a bad spot.
Maybe I'll be able to hide and no one will know where I'm at, because they don't have the technology for it.
Not at all.
Great thought process, Jake.
Yep. Movie ends there.
Yeah.
Happily ever after.
It was awesome. What if we did that? Like, we just edit it, but then like we just find, like, you know, when he goes into a water and they go to a cutscene and it just pulls back and it's him and he goes, "This is our land."
Yeah.
He says our land too, right? Even though they're in the fucking water.
Even though they're in the water and they've been there for like maybe a month.
Yes.
By the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like you said, I would have liked to see an edit of it where they show up and he goes, "My name is Jake Sully," and then credits roll.
Yeah,
like that's it. It's like a 30-minute film. Oh my god, I don't think he would restrain himself that much. No, I mean, what can you say about this that we didn't say in our long form discussion? Like it's a blockbuster. That's for sure. It's
tragically bad, and it's embarrassing it got nominated.
Like the story's so standard. It's nothing special. All the different stories that they focus on with the different characters don't feel cohesive at all. It just feels like their attempt at adding depth to characters that we haven't met before.
Yes.
And because we haven't met them before, they're like, we got to give them nuance. We got to give them background stories and different struggles that they have to go through. But it doesn't feel like it's earned. It doesn't feel like any of that is natural in any way. It just it feels like, hey, this is this character. They're struggling with this. Wow, don't you feel their pain? Don't you like them now? And it's like, no, I need a little bit more than that to care. You know?
100%. None of it. I mean, I think they take from what happened in the last film, and they hope that you still have that relationship with Jake and Neytiri, and that you understand the struggles that the Na'vi, the forest Na'vi are going through. And if you buy into that, then everything else will be fine. Like, that's honestly it. Like, if you're fine with that, then you'll go to these other places and probably be like, oh, yeah.
And I don't think it would have been as bad if they didn't introduce, like, 5 new characters that are like, hey, guess what? Jake Sully had, like, 17 kids, and also the villain from the last movie's back, and he has a human son. Like, okay. The
Sullys stick together.
I realized later, and I told this to my coworker, that there are 2 different characters in the movie that are supposed to be the quote-unquote outsiders. So there's the actual son, who's the Avatar kid, who goes and befriends the whale, and he tells the whale thing that I'm an outsider to my family. I know how you feel. I'm not like them too, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I've always felt different. And then there's Spider, who's the actual outsider, who's a human. He's not a Na'vi at all.
Right.
So then he just feels like an outsider because he's a different species. And obviously fucking Zoe Saldana was about to kill him, so there's even more distance there now. So there's 2 characters that are supposed to be outsider characters that are in this film, and it's like, why didn't you just get rid of one of them? Like,
can't. Then it doesn't make any sense to have the general in here besides him want to kill Jake Sully for destroying his original body.
It didn't make sense anyway.
Movie's terrible. I can't believe it got nominated. And it's even more embarrassing that it got nominated and that the director of that movie didn't show up.
I don't know. We've been shitting on this movie, maybe rightfully so, but I don't know if I'd call it terrible. I've seen movies that are much worse than this.
But it cost $2 billion to make this. Like, I get that, but here's my thing. Okay?
Yes.
Give me someone that's wildly successful at creating spectacles. James Cameron. Okay?
Let's take the man himself.
Here you go. I'm going to give you $2 billion. You're used to working with $2 billion. I trust that you'll put a good film out there, right? He fucking went. Tiger Woods coming to the country club and going like, I could shoot a 58 here. I'm gonna go for 72.
Yeah,
and I get a little drunk and have a good time. I don't give a shit about that. I can watch someone else go 72.
Yeah,
I want to see your 58, dude.
No, I get what you're saying.
So,
and like to me, it's almost worse that a movie is like in the middle range than it is if it were like offensively bad, because the offensively bad movie, at least I remember, this movie's just so like, it's like you said, it's a nothing burger.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any risks. It doesn't do anything special.
There you go.
Why? Because it's popular and it made all the money in the world.
But I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm like?
Hey,
I won't change it.
You're preaching to the choir.
I was about to say, I'm not going to change it. I get why it's nominated. It's embarrassing. Here's the other thing too. I'd probably be a little less offended by this, but James Cameron doesn't show up. Like, you're the owner of that film that got nominated. You're one of the 10 best pictures that we're all supposed to remember, and you're so fucking egotistical that you can't come to this shit. Like, what are you doing that's so much better? All these people, unless, I mean, he's probably fucking Daniel Day-Lewis from There Will Be Blood. Like, he's just drunk at home screaming at people and throwing his like wine bottles at the TV.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then people come in and it's like, it's a
milkshake.
Yeah, like, you didn't go to that. He's like, you want another 10 grand? Do you want it? Do you want the money? Beg for me.
I'll staple you to the wall if you don't watch out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's why it's just really funny to me. And this thing is so stupid. It's fucking ridiculous that I got nominated. And then it does. And then the guy that made it can't even show up to it. So now it's really like, this is just like a fucking like, what are we doing? Like, passionless money grab is all this screams. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Would have been nice if there was something unique or interesting about it, but there isn't.
Right.
So, you know, it's got some visuals going for it. It's got some like neat like stuff to look at. But I mean, you know, for something that's called Avatar: The Way of Water, it's very shallow.
Boom.
Mic drop.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we can wrap that up there.
There we go. All right. Who's got it?
I think I'm going first since I picked it.
There we go.
So this is at the bottom, 10, ranked at 10, not 10 out of 10. Don't confuse me, please.
Someone get that clip.
No, please, no. That someone's going to be me since I edited it. I guess after it comes out, someone can. But no, this is a 5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just very like offensively average, I will say.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's a good description of where you and I meet. So
yeah, I'm very close. This is a 5 out of 10 as well. So you can tell my hatred for Elvis. And this is 9 out of 10 on the ranking.
9 out of 10?
Yeah, Elvis is 10.
Oh, on the ranking. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like
5 out of 10. Fuck no, this ain't getting 5 for me. Dude, this flirted between that and Elvis sat there and I flip-flopped him a couple times. I said the only reason why this gets a little, because I would rewatch this before I'd rewatch Elvis. I will never rewatch Elvis. Ever.
You don't want to experience that Tom Hanks magic?
Didn't even fucking care. It's going to be, dude, not to flip it to Elvis, but like he gets on the fucking limousine. He's saying goodbye to his daughter. His wife's waving and shit. Like he had cheated on her with 50 different girls and like gets down. He goes into whatever his ranch is called in Tennessee, hugs her, says, I can't live without you. Please don't go. And it's like, no one's diving into his like alcohol and pill problem. Like we aren't really looking at the emotional behavior of a sociopath here and like a guy that's just fucking struggling and it's not even her fault and she's supposed to take him back because he's Elvis.
Yeah,
you didn't even expand on their relationship. There's 2 scenes with them before that one. One when she's 14 that they don't talk about.
Because she's not 14 in the movie.
And the other one is when Bobby Kennedy gets assassinated in that little California plot. Those are the only 2 scenes that are together before that one of him womanizing alcohol, pills. He gets down and begs her not to go. And I'm like, I don't even fucking care she's here.
And that was Avatar: The Way of Water discussion.
Jake Sully talking to Natiri.
Yes.
There you go.
That was a beautiful recreation of that scene.
Sorry. Anyways, 9 out of 10. That's the only fucking... Other than that, those 2 are tied for shit and shit.
All right. I think you are picking the next one.
Okay.
Yes, and there's 2 left.
Oh, there is.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes,
You
there
know what?
is.
Let's just do it. Let's just do it the way we want to go. Actually, you know what? Let's not. Because I know what one you'd want to pick, and then I know what one I'd want to pick. So we're going to flip-flop this. I'm going to go Banshees in Inisherin.
All right. So I will pull this up. So The Banshees of Inisherin is a 2022 black tragicomedy directed, written, and co-produced by Martin McDonagh. Stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. Colin Farrell plays Podrick. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
Sure.
And Brendan Gleeson plays Colm Doherty. Carrie Condon as Sobane. Not going to pronounce it. And is essentially about Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson as 2 friends. The movie's set in 1920s Ireland. And one day, Podrick goes over to Colm's house, and he asks if he wants to join him to the bar for a pint. And he sees that Colm just is sitting there, not responding to him, not really looking at him, just ignoring him altogether. And Podrick says, okay, well, I'll see you up there. And then he goes up there, waits for him, and then he sees Colm join at the bar, but he doesn't sit next to him. He doesn't sit with him. He sits outside. And we come to learn that Colm doesn't want to be friends with Podrick anymore.
Yeah.
And he doesn't at first give a reason why, and then as the events of the movie progress, you start to learn more and more of Colm's motivations.
Yeah.
For his actions or inactions towards their friendship. So, yeah. No, this is... I really wanted this to win something, man.
Yeah.
Like, I really wanted this to at least win Best Director, because I really think that it... Maybe not deserved is the right word, but I really felt like it had a shot, you know? Like, I thought the directing of this movie was super good, and I think it balanced that tone really well of comedy and drama.
100%.
I think that it just does that so 100%. Well. And Colin Farrell's great, Brendan Gleeson's great. Like, the acting, I think, in this movie is really good.
Yeah.
Barry Keoghan, who I didn't even mention in this movie, he's a great supporting character. Everybody just complements each other in this movie, and it's just a really good kind of, I don't know, character-driven movie. There's actual character development. There's actual actions and consequences that happen. And I don't know, I really enjoyed it. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think I saw this, oh God, when did this come out? Says October 2022. I was
going to say, I think it was November or December we were talking about it.
Yeah. So it's been a good few months since I've seen it, but
yeah,
it's on HBO Max right now. So if you have that, definitely I recommend checking it out. Yeah. I don't know. I've been talking about this movie a lot. I'm curious as to what you think and your thoughts. So
I liked it. We did something at a diaper party on Saturday a week ago. I got back. It was late, and we threw it on.
A diaper party?
Mm-hmm. When you're having a kid.
Oh, I was picturing like adults in diapers.
Not that one. No, not getting that. Not getting that messed up.
Oh,
yeah, that's
not making a mess of that.
No. It was a long day though, so I got back and I threw it on and I was watching it. It's kind of like in and out, and I was like, this isn't all that great, like whatever. So I turned it off, and Sunday I threw it back on. I was like, I gotta watch it. Already having watched an hour of it. Kind of, knew a little, just fucking loved it. I've actually thought about this movie more and more since I've watched it, and I would like to rewatch it. I think this is probably the most rewatchable film, maybe besides Top Gun out of the group.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very easy look at how people cope with loneliness and an existential crisis,
depression.
Yeah, well, and what mark do we want to leave in the world, or what will we leave with the world?
Mm-hmm. How happy are you with your lot in life?
Yeah.
What are you willing to do to maybe make a name for yourself versus are you comfortable with the life that you're living, even if you're somebody who enjoys the simple things in life?
Exactly. And it's dealing with our impact with others, or how we're impacted with others, and what I mean, like the actions that we'll then take. I mean, once that balance gets shifted a little bit, you know.
Yeah, going into this movie, I wasn't entirely sure how visceral it was going to be. I thought maybe it was going to lean more into the comedy element than it would the drama, and I was expecting some dramatic moments for sure, like the scene where Colin Farrell confronts Colm in the bar for the first time, and Colm basically tells him, I find you dull, you know.
Yeah.
And then Podrick gets drunk, and then he confronts him, and then he goes, you used to be nice, or maybe you were never nice. Maybe you were just never nice at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a good scene to me. And
there's so
many of those scenes to me that I feel that way for. And I expected a lot more just kind of like more like lighthearted elements to this movie. And I was surprised at how dark it got with him chopping his fingers off, because he tells him, every time you talk to me, I'm going to chop one of my fingers off and I'm going to throw it at your house, leave it on your doorstep. And then sure enough, he talks to him. And, you know, as the character and even us as moviegoers, we're like, he's not really going to do that. You know, he's not really going to chop his finger off.
He can't play his fiddle.
Yeah. Right. That'd be against the whole point of like what he wants to do.
Exactly.
And then you see the finger, like you hear the finger hit the door. He opens the door. You see him like in the distance walking away, like hiding his hand. And it's like, what the hell is that? And you look down and there's the finger. It's like, holy shit, he just cut his finger off.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon by the end of the movie, he's got like no fingers on his hand at all.
He's got a stub hand.
Like, it's fucked up. And like that whole situation, the like kind of side plot with Barry Keoghan's character trying to connect with Podrick's sister, played by Carrie Condon, who does a really good job in this movie.
She was fantastic.
Like he's super compelling in that.
What do you mean? He's always been dull.
What you mean? He's always been dull.
Yeah, she's baffled.
Yeah. I don't know. I love those character dynamics, and I like how his story plays out. It's tragic. I think that's where like the tragic comedy comes in part.
I think it's all tragic. I think every one of them leads a tragic life, which I even the minor characters in this. I mean, the dad that has Barry, what was his name in the thing?
The dad's name?
No.
Or Barry's name.
Yeah.
Dominic.
You know, Dominic's father was the sheriff of the town, whose mom, you know, he either passed away or left him because he's, you know, an alcoholic, abusive dad, you know. And I mean, when he passes away, I mean, there's some, you know, remorse on his end, you know. And it's like, it's kind of, I mean, everyone here, I mean, it's just, there was a little stint I saw that like it's small effects that you can have on what your actions impact others' lives. And I think this was a great film that just kind of small things lead up to big moments.
It felt very natural. It felt earned. It felt like everything made sense with the characters and like their decision making. Made sense, but you know, I think
within the the world we're in,
right? I think Colm's supposed to be purposefully irrational about how he's going about his friendship or lack of friendship with Podrick. You know, we're supposed to kind of speculate. I think like what exactly is wrong with this guy?
He's struggling. I mean, he's struggling with. I mean, just the fact that. I mean, death. Like getting to that point of like, man, like this is it, and I've done nothing.
Yeah,
and you know, it's anything. It's like almost his catharsis or him projecting like that chopping off those fingers is almost to the same extent of not being friends with him.
Yeah.
Like I just think that there wasn't anything for him to lose, and that's why it's a great point. There's a rationalness about the whole situation.
There is, but there's also like some lighthearted elements in this movie too, amongst the dark undertones that it has.
Balance. It was a great balance.
Yeah, I really do think so. I could talk about this movie for a long time. Just like Carrie Condon and like her character, the fact that she wouldn't let the donkey in the house, the whole sort of through line with the donkey. I don't know how it kind of like represents his loneliness, and then all of a sudden the donkey's dead outside because it choked on one of the fingers that he threw. It's like you said, the actions in this movie have consequences, and the little things you do, whether or not it's something you say or an action that you take, it has a great effect on somebody and how they live.
There's only Dominic. Now, what killed me is they go at the very beginning of the film. He's like, he's with Podrick, and they're watching Colm play the fiddle, right? And there's the girls there singing. He goes, oh, there's the woman. I want to get him. I want to get after him. You know, maybe we can make some small talk, and that's when we'll get him. And he's sitting there talking about it, and then you realize, like, oh, there's not a lot of females on this island. Like, he just can't go into the city and go, like, I'm going to go to a bar and pick up. Like, it's very... So when he shoots a shot with Carrie, I mean... And as gentle as it is, I mean, you don't really see, you know, there's not anything that would make you think that it's led up to that point. He just understands that he needs to find a mate, or else his time's going to go by and he's going to end up like his dad.
Have you never been wild? Wild?
Yeah.
What do you mean, have I never been wild?
I mean, it was great, dude. And yes, the dialogue, so many of those conversations are so genuine and pure, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
None of them feel forced. Even when, and you know where Colm's coming from when he starts talking about, you know, you've never thought beyond the island and you've never thought about beyond being nice. And that's why he's dull. And he's starting to have that effect. He's starting to have that crisis of, I'm gonna end up dying on this island, and no one's gonna remember me for who I am.
But I think,
and Colin Farrell plays the exact opposite of that's a good thing. I mean, the impact you have at this level is better and far greater than the impact you'll have on the worlds around you.
Yeah, like Podrick's very personable. He's very codependent on other people being there for him, whereas Colm is somebody who wants to make a name for himself and just himself alone. Yes.
And you get to see a little bit of that irrational to whatever, you know, because he talks about Mozart in like the 17th century or so, and then Carrie Condon corrects him. She's like, it was the 18th century. Remember? And
it's like, it kind of shows you that Colm's a little full of himself.
Exactly. Like he's gotten to that point where it's not his mark in the world. He's just realizing the world's coming. His world's starting to end.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. I mean, I'm good with calling this discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do I go with this one? We always have to ask every time.
I gave this one a 9 out of 10.
Oh, nice.
9 out of 10. It's enjoyable, and this is very rewatchable. And then for my Oscar rank, it is third.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's pretty epic.
Yeah.
So this is also 9 out of 10 for me. Very solid 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Maybe if I ever rewatch it, I might bump it up. Who knows? Who knows?
Okay.
Right now, comfortable 9, and at my ranking, I have it at number 1.
I had a feeling.
Yes.
Had a feeling.
Hooked on a feeling.
Yes.
Ba-ba-da-da. And I'm high on believing. All right.
With that left,
we have...
Did I have to set it up this way? Maybe. This could be one of the more polarizing topics.
Oh, maybe. We shall see.
I think it's going to be...
Triangle of Sadness.
All right. Triangle of Sadness. I viewed this on Thursday of last week.
This is the last one that I watched.
Same.
For the Oscar Best Pictures.
Oh, no. Fabelmans was. But this was probably the last enjoyable one I watched.
This is actually the last movie that I've seen. Well, no. Not true. Everything Everywhere. But last movie I've seen for the first time.
Okay. So another written and directed by Ruben Östlund, starring, oh boy,
a lot of people.
Harris Dickinson, who played Carl, the late Charlie Dean.
Rest in peace. I guess I didn't mean to cut you off, but I guess they didn't include her in the in memoriam, even though.
Well, we got chopped out of it, so like she might have been.
I read online that they didn't.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they had already kind of came up with. I don't know. I don't know how that goes.
Yeah,
it's her first film. I'm not defending them, nor am I saying it's right or wrong.
Rest in peace.
Yes, 100%. Because she was fun in this. Vicky Berlin plays Paula. Dolly De Leon plays Abigail, and a bunch of other people, including Woody Harrelson as the captain and Zakako Bjork as Dimitri.
I was very pleasantly surprised to see him in this movie.
Yes. So what it is there's a fashion model celebrity couple that go to a yacht, and it's a little bit of a look at society and what runs the show and how things can get turned.
We live in a society.
So,
Joker gang rise up.
uh-oh.
Yes.
We throwing up gang signs?
No. You can't see it, but I am throwing up the Joker signal. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll come up with it.
Yeah, we'll come up with it. We'll concept art it.
Yeah, so I saw this on Thursday, and I didn't know what I was going to get into. The couple, it was kind of odd. I didn't know if we were going to look at the tales of lives, Mm-hmm. They do the expositions in the fashion industry, and apparently Ruben's, I think his wife deals with it, as a photographer in the fashion. Like, I had to read up on this. And it was very interesting that the lives that these guys lead, that they come in and you are on a finite timeline in that industry. Like, it's not directing, it's not coaching, it's not, you've got 4 years. So the amount of money that we just shovel and give props to these kids and start to take in words of wisdom and everything that they represent and hold it as Christ until they're gone, and then it goes back to whatever. He said it's just very interesting and it's polarizing of what happens in these lives and how drastically someone can change within 5 years. And we get on the yacht, and I mean, I don't know, dude. This movie was bizarre to me, and then I just loved it.
All right.
I mean, it was odd.
Yes, that I agree with. It was very odd.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think this is where you and I diverge.
Yeah, we're gonna go completely different ways.
I think because I liked this movie overall, but I really, really wanted to like it more. I really wanted to like it more than I did.
Where to go wrong for you?
So here's the thing. It took me such a long time to figure out why exactly I didn't connect with it.
Right.
And normally, if I feel that way about a movie, it's like, okay, I know almost immediately why. Like, it's like the acting, but it's not the acting because the acting in this is good. It's the cinematography, but it's not that because that's really good as well. Like, there's so many things that are purposefully done in this movie that are just really well made.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I figured it out, and I think it really comes down to the characters for me and my investment into them. Like, I don't think I was invested in the characters or what was really happening to them. I thought they were fun characters, and I thought that they were well written for how Ruben Östlund wanted them to be written, but ultimately for me, I couldn't connect with them. I think mostly just because how they were written. And like I said, it's not really a testament to what I think of the quality of the film. I just think that it's just a certain type of movie that I don't know. I couldn't really find myself connecting with in the way that I wanted to. And there's things about this movie that are like, they're going to stick with me for such a long time. Like the whole chaos with the boat and the
oh my god,
with the Russian and Woody Harrelson in the captain's quarters together talking over the loudspeaker was just
love that scene.
Absolutely balls to the walls insane. And just the whole lead up from that to the ship just being in complete disarray. I think that's my favorite part of the movie. I think that whole sequence is like really well done, really well made. But I don't know, just in terms of the characters, I think I really wish I had someone that I could latch onto and be like, I'm really interested in where this character is going. I'm really interested in what's going to happen to them. And I didn't have that with any of them.
I don't think it was intended for that. So that's why.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. But like I said, it's more so just a testament to how I feel about the movie rather than what I think of the movie's quality.
Right. No, I had a completely different. I latched on to the Russian guy. I love that he was on there because he sold shit and owned East Europe. Mm-hmm. He's very blunt about what he did. Mm-hmm. And Woody Harrelson, I thought was like the weakest point of this film. I just didn't. And I know he's supposed to play a drunk captain that obviously doesn't care and he's a socialist, but like. It's hard for me to buy into that, when that's exactly what he does. But those guys getting drunk and going on the loudspeaker and freaking everyone out, and then Woody Harrelson getting into his diary and explaining how he can't trust the government.
Right,
dude, I was dying. And then I had a different. I really liked. I thought that they were written as a materialistic that they were written as such of not really being deep.
Right.
So those characters are hard to, and it was a funny parallel for me at the beginning of the film that he tells Yaya, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. And then they flip roles essentially. Mm-hmm. And he goes, it's not about Abigail. It's not about Abigail. Like that's what she's saying to him. Mm-hmm. And they had a bet on would they fall in love. And obviously, I mean, he had to have won the bet, I mean, he finds the ring. Dude, I don't know. This whole film, it felt like there's a little bit more behind it, and I don't think there was, And from what I read about the director kind of talking about this is he likes to take instances of social classes or events happening and look at some of the choices that we make and the impacts that they have going to, blah, 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 blah. So,
yeah.
No, dude, I got done with this thing and I sat there and all of a sudden, like, I started getting flooded with like happy emotions. And I was like, man, this is a hard movie. I don't know if I could, it's like I'd want to recommend it, but at the same token, I don't know if it would kind of come off as the same way as Women Talking,
Right. It'd be hard for like, I think most people to get into, maybe.
You're exactly right, though. I mean, when you talk about it, the characters, you don't get invested in Carl and Yaya. Like, you could care less about where they're going.
No. And I mean, I like the way that they're acted. I like the kind of awkward, really cringeworthy atmosphere that they make and that they build up, and not just with those characters, but with every single character.
Get in the pool,
like
Come on, darling. Get
every
in the pool.
Single character and every single interaction is just made to make you as uncomfortable as possible, and that's something that I enjoyed because it's what the goal of the movie is. It's what the goal of what the director wanted me to feel in those instances, and so I definitely got that across. I wish that there was something more there for me to connect with, because when there isn't, it's hard for me to get the enjoyment out of it that I want to, because when there's not a character that I am invested enough in to care about, then there's nothing in the movie that can happen that I will connect to,
That's why I like it's a little bit more of a depiction on what we feel about these people, and I can't relate to any one of those people on that boat. Whether it's the guy that gets kicked off for sunbathing or it's the Russian, it's not my party. So I guess to me it's more of like I actually get to watch the ants on the anthill.
Yeah.
And what they do, as opposed to having to be that ant and looking around. So it's just we've had movies like this before. I can't remember exactly. There was another one that I remember talking about it, being able Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of depict. Like, it's not something I know I'm not in. But anyways, the Dimitri in this thing was fucking great. And then when they get on that island and those three guys giving Carl shit for being the horror of the group, I had me dying.
Yeah.
And then the ending, I really liked the ending because watching it with Jasmine, she had a different takeaway than I did, and that's what the director. It's kind of funny because the director said I ended it and like purposely like that because there's going to be two takeaways.
Yeah. And
me and Jasmine, so we're watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, she's going to kill her. And Jasmine's like, no, they're not. Like, they're right there at the elevator. And I'm like, no, she's going to kill her. And she's like, I don't think so. They're probably just, and then she's walking up with the rock. And then we both look at each other and we're like, do you think she did it? Like, at the same time. And then I just started laughing. I was like, holy shit. Like, obviously I think she did. And obviously Jasmine thinks that she didn't. And that's what the guy said. And then it gets into what's Carl running there for.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because both of those sides would have a reason to kill the other person.
Like, I enjoy how I like the idea of it being a movie where we're supposed to watch, and maybe I think that's where I went wrong, is I think you're supposed to watch this movie as if it's in a glass box. Like, you're supposed to watch these characters from a distance and see how they interact with each other, not really put yourself in that situation. Yeah, it's a social experiment almost.
Well, and bourgeoisie and the proletariat's in an isolated environment.
Yeah, but I don't know. It really comes down to the characters for me, and I think that's where
I don't think they're all that. I agree with you. Like, me and Sam talked about this on Sunday, and we were both like, this is really fucking weird. And I got to the shit and puking scene, and I was like, I don't even find this funny.
And that's another thing I had with it, is that a lot of the humor just didn't really land with me.
So he didn't do it to be funny. Like in the interview I read, he did it as a means of, I wanted these people to suffer, and at what point does their suffering end? And as being the director, I get to choose. And so he said he didn't know if he had it going on for too long or not too long. And he said, I think at one of the showings, people were clapping. Because it wasn't like the people kept, just puking and shitting, and they couldn't get, and it's just Woody Harrelson and this Dimitri guy, and they're just making life miserable for all those people that were making the lives miserable of everyone else. And so he was doing it as a way to kind of say, like, F you to all these rich people. Yeah. And I mean,
It's definitely got that sense in this movie.
I was about to say, I don't think some of it's like, it feels like it's supposed to be humorous, but I think it's more of like black comedy.
Yeah.
Where it's like...
It's very dark. It's very like...
Yeah.
When you're watching this old lady slide around in her piss and shit, and you're watching her do it on screen, it's very like... This is not funny. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, so that's where you kind of run into, it's a different perspective. And I think, at least the little bit of what I've read, this guy is poking more fun at some of the social dichotomy that's going on between the classes and being thrust into these roles, and looking at how easily your perspective and lot in life can change with, certain events happening.
Yeah. It's very like upper class are the passengers, middle class are the above boat workers, and then the lower class is like the engineer room, like
I don't even know if it did. I just got it as it was, you either were a person on that boat that paid to get on it, or you were a person on that boat working on it.
Yeah, that's getting paid to be on it.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think there was a middle class. Like I think it was like either you're this one or that one, and then they flip it. Which yeah. Anyways, I thought I will say though, I love Dimitri. Like his accent in this thing.
Salto.
Yeah, the guy that was in the Pusher series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great in the Pusher movies.
I thought he was fucking fantastic in this. Like, I love he was so grounded, and, well, not grounded, but, like, I know I'm rich for selling shit. I got lucky, and now I can do all these fun things. Like, he was the most grounded of the rich group.
If you like that actor and you like how he plays that character, I think you would like Pusher 3. So each Pusher movie, it follows a different character, and he is the main character of the third Pusher film. And I think you would enjoy that.
Nice.
If you like that actor, and
it'll be
the kind of character he's playing here. A little less silly. It's a little more kind of seriously played, but he's still like a zany character in those movies. So
yeah, I might have to.
Yeah. Cool. Was there anything else we wanted to say about this? We are approaching
dangerously close to 180 minutes. No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So am I rating this first? Rating and ranking?
Yeah.
Okay. Try not to beat me up. I'm sorry. This is a 6 out of 10 for me. It is at number 9 on my list.
Dude, I knew that as soon as we started going, because I was paying attention to the numbers. I was like, and you mentioned it last night. You said, and it's just different takes. Like me and Sam, I talked to Sam, and I couldn't believe Sam loved this. And me and him both were like Triangle of Sadness for Best Picture. You know? So it's like one of those things. I think it's polarizing. I think there's different. Like Jasmine, I could see her saying that this was a 5 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's got a different. It's not Top Gun, and it's not the Fabelmans. I'll say that.
No, it's not.
Definitely not safe.
No.
So,
and I kind of admire it for it.
This guy's got a couple other movies out there that I want to check out. Force Majeure, and then there's another one that he directed. Both, it's kind of the same actions that we make in really drastic times, and kind of the impact. Little micro. So anyways, I gave this is a 9 out of 10 for me. I had it at an 8, and then literally 10 minutes after watching it, I bumped it up to a 9. Number 1. So this is probably
dude.
I think I could watch this again and really have another good laugh and just catch on to more shit happening outside of the shit scene.
Quite literally. I was about to say.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I guess we'll wrap it up there.
Yep.
Normally, this is the part where we would recommend a film, but we already did that the previous episode, so we'll push that to next episode, like I said earlier. Thank you guys for listening. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Also, www.neoncrewpodcast.com. Get yourself a crew neck. I got restocked on those, so we'll have that going for you. And find us on various social medias, Facebook, our YouTube community page. I post stuff there sometimes. And McClain, what do we say?
WWTHD.
Bye, everyone.